put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it. That's what I'm telling you.
Someone wrote it's spinning on YouTube.
Zulek, you said we're live on YouTube?
All right.
No, someone said it's spinning on YouTube.
Okay. It's spinning on YouTube. All right, Becky, thank you for being here. Becky, does that mean we're live on YouTube, or does that mean we're not live on YouTube? Casey, thank you for being here. All right, we should be live.
Okay.
We should be live, but let's double check, because I would hate to do a whole entire... Casey, can you do me a favor? Trying to load, okay? All right, Becky. All right. Casey, can you do me a favor? Can you see if we're live on YouTube?
We're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it. That's what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so we are finally
disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation
live
where I
on
will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you
This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, defense attorney Brad Haywood, you are under the microscope. We can't seem to get rid of Brad Haywood, the defense attorney that stayed on Mustafa's case for a whole entire year. And then after a whole entire year, in court, he says, my client is innocent. And the police department falsified the whole entire case. And then behind closed doors, he tells us that I've been threatened off the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. He sits on Mustafa's case for a whole entire year and then runs away. We're going to get to the bottom of what they're doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. And every day we dive in, and this case is being exposed. What the police department, what the prosecutor is doing in Mustafa's case. I want to thank Casey for being here. I want to thank Zulek, Becky, and everybody that's joining in. Casey, thank you for being here.
Hi, Mark. You're welcome. You know I'll always be here.
I love you, ma'am. You do a lot behind closed doors. In this podcast, we're going to focus on the motion that Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is filing. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck filed a motion to exclude an expert from Mustafa's case, Dr. Speckhard. Dr. Speckhard, and if you've been following the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, Dr. Speckhard came in, and she has a very specific job. Now, we've all watched Mustafa's dash camera that the police department is telling us that has no audio and is cut before impact. Now, the question is, where is the rest of the dash camera? Where's the audio? So we're going to dive in and we're going to see why this dash camera doesn't have audio and why this dash camera is cut before impact. And why are we litigating a case where the dash camera is cut and the audio is not there? So Dr. Speckhard has a very specific job, because when we're watching this dash camera, Dr. Speckhard is looking specifically at Mustafa's expression. Mustafa's reaction before this camera cuts off. Now, the prosecutor doesn't like that. And she wants the jury to look at this dash camera and on their own decide what Mustafa's reaction and expression should be. She doesn't want an expert to come in and weigh in on what we're watching in this dash camera, as if we have any idea what a normal reaction should be. I mean, when you're watching a dash camera, and what we're going to do in this podcast, we're going to go over the prosecutor motion and specifically why she wants to exclude this expert off of Mustafa's case. She tells you you don't need an expert. You should be able to know what a normal reaction is and just go off of that. You don't need an expert to know what a normal reaction in a dash camera is. Okay, so we're going to go over the prosecutor motion, and we're going to find out why she wants to exclude this expert. We're going to find out what the expert is saying in Mustafa's case, because what the expert is saying is really interesting. The expert looked at the details, looked at the evidence, and has a very interesting take in the Mustafa Al-Jazari that's driving the prosecutor crazy. Now, as a community, we're going to find out, should the prosecutor remove this expert? We're going to have a really interesting podcast, so let's dive in.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
No, sir, thank you for being here.
You can't do it. That's what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that. Okay. If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay. If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, defense attorney Brad Haywood, you are under the microscope. Now, really quick, I want to thank Casey. I want to thank Zulak. I want to thank Farah. I love you, ma'am. Thank you for always being there. I want to thank Becky and everybody that's in here. And I think we just lost Nasser. But if you want to send me a request, I'll bring you back up. Now, in this podcast, this is going to be a really interesting podcast. This is a motion that's coming up in court. The prosecutor Sarah Sammy, filed a motion. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and prosecutor Stephanie Buck filed a motion to exclude the expert from the defense, Dr. Speckhard. We're going to read the transcript, and we're going to see what this prosecutor is talking about. Now, throughout this podcast, we're going to compare Mustafa's dash camera to another dash camera. Because when you're watching a dash camera, how do you know what a normal reaction is? I mean, in a traumatic event, what is a normal reaction? Do you freeze up? What kind of reaction do you have? I mean, everybody think they know what a normal reaction is until you're in a traumatic event. So we're going to take a look at Mustafa's dash camera. We're going to see what reaction inside the vehicle did Mustafa have. What reaction did his girlfriend have moments before the vehicle accident? And we're going to compare it to another dash camera just to get a baseline and see what reaction do you have in a traumatic event. And of course, we're going to ask the question, the dash camera that we're watching in Mustafa's case is cut before impact and has no audio. And for 3 years, the prosecution has been telling us, the prosecutor has been telling us that this dash camera does not have audio. Now, there's a major leak in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case, body cams, documents, and the leak is telling us, we're finding out that this dash camera does have audio. So, Digital Forensic or Prince William County Police Department tell us that this dash camera does have audio. So why is the police department and the prosecution office has been lying to this community for over 3 years? We're going to find out. We're going to get to the bottom of who is saying what and why are we litigating a dash camera? Where is the full dash camera? Because we're sitting here litigating a cut and muted dash camera when in fact the full dash camera and the audio does exist. I think the best thing to do is, let's see, where should we start? Should we start from the motion, reading the motion, or should we just dive into the Mustafa Al-Jazari dash camera and compare it with another dash camera? I think the best thing to do, let's start reading the motion to get a baseline of what the prosecutor is talking about, because this motion is coming up. If you go on, let's see, if you go on our TikTok, what we've done, we've released this motion on TikTok. So if you go to beyond, let's see, if you go on TikTok and type beyond the metal bars, you'll find our TikTok and what we're doing. So the body cam and the discovery documents are now being leaked. It's a sealed case, but they're being leaked. They've been leaked. So they're all over the internet. If you go on our YouTube, you find body cam, you find document, and it gives you insight into what they're doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Now, since this is a sealed case, but since the body cam has been leaked, what we find is that the transcript and the filing has now been unsealed. So if you go over to Circuit Court at Prince William County here in Virginia, and you can request the documents, the filing, and the transcripts. And what we're doing on our platform is we're taking these documents and we're posting it on our platform. So if you go on our TikTok, let's see if we can pull it up. If you go on Beyond the Metal Bars on TikTok, what you'll see is the motion that Sarah Sammy have filed for the expert to be excluded off of Mustafa's case. So let's see. There we go. Commonwealth motion in limine. There we go. This is there. Commonwealth motion in limine to exclude defense expert Dr. Speckhard and evidence of mental health. So the expert in Mustafa's case is Dr. Speckhard. Dr. Speckhard came into this case. She looked at the dash camera. She looked at the evidence in Mustafa's case and said that Mustafa's reaction is consistent with someone that's panicking to a traumatic situation. That his reaction is normal and is consistent with someone that's reacting to a traumatic situation. This is different from what the prosecutor have been alleging. For 3 years, prosecutor Sarah Sammy tells you Mustafa does not have a reaction and is attempting to prosecute this case exclusively on his facial expression. Now, the problem that we have with prosecutor Sarah Sammy is that, one, when we're watching this dash camera, Mustafa is reacting to the accident. We have the dash camera, and we're looking at Mustafa's reaction. Mustafa's jaw is wide open. He sticks his tongue inside his cheeks. But the prosecutor, of course, this is a sealed dash camera. They sealed this dash camera, and they want to tell you there is no reaction. So what we're going to do, we're going to pull up this dash camera and specifically look at Mustafa's reaction. The prosecutor tells us Mustafa does not have a reaction. So let's look at Mustafa's reaction. There we go. Does Mustafa have a reaction to the vehicle accident moments before this dash camera cuts off? Now, what you see here is Mustafa's jaw is wide open. Mustafa's jaw is wide open. He sticks his tongue inside his cheeks. Let's watch that one more time. Mustafa's jaw is wide open. He sticks his tongue inside his cheek and is reacting to a vehicle accident. According to the prosecutor, they seal off this dash camera. This dash camera is sealed, and they tell you that there is no reaction. Now, there has been a major leak in Mustafa's case, and this dash camera is now all over the internet. And you can watch this dash camera in real time and see that the prosecutor is lying to you, that he's reacting to a vehicle accident. Now, the question that we have for Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, when we're watching this dash camera, why is it that this dash camera cuts off before impact? This is a dash camera. And what we're watching is a dash camera that cuts off before the collision. As a matter of fact, what you see is a dash camera, because this camera has a lens facing outside and a lens facing inside. The camera facing inside cuts off while the camera facing outside is still rolling. Now, that's a huge problem because this looks like someone manually cut this dash camera, because a dash camera doesn't just cut off by itself. This is one dash camera. Has a lens facing outside and it has a lens facing inside. And we're watching a dash camera that cuts off. Let's pull that up on the screen. A dash camera. The camera facing inside cuts off while the camera facing outside is still rolling. Now, even if I were to entertain the idea that this dash camera cuts off by itself, how is it that the camera facing inside the vehicle cuts off while that one outside is still rolling? If you count the frames, you'll see that there are 17 frames missing from the camera facing inside the vehicle. Now, that's a huge problem because we're sitting here litigating Mustafa's facial reaction. Where is the rest of Mustafa's facial reaction? You took 17 frames from this dash camera, and we're sitting here litigating a reaction when there are 17 frames missing. Now, let's zoom in on Mustafa's reaction. Let's go back to Mustafa's reaction. Does Mustafa Al-Jazari have a reaction to the vehicle accident? Keep in mind, we're litigating a dash camera that's cut before impact and has 17 frames missing from the camera facing inside the vehicle. What Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, Casey, I love you, ma'am. Thank you for doing that on TikTok. What Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to do is to exclude the expert that's watching this dash camera, an expert that her field of expertise is reaction, expressions, and traumatic events. Now, when I'm watching this, when you're watching this, when you look at Mustafa's reaction, what are you comparing it to? Are you comparing it to, how do you know what someone's reaction would be in a traumatic event? You don't. I don't. You think you do, but in a moment where there is a traumatic event like a vehicle accident, you freeze up. You don't know what to do. Not everybody reacts the same. Some people freeze up. So you have to have an expert when you're looking at this dash camera, because you don't know what a personal reaction in a traumatic event is. So you need an expert that looks at the person's facial expression, that looks at their body language, and look at the evidence. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is not happy. So we're going to read her motion. Before we dive into the prosecutor motion, I think it's a good idea to compare this dash camera to another dash camera to get a baseline to see what is a reaction in a traumatic event. When there's a vehicle accident, how do you react? Now, this is a dash camera that is that you find on Daily Mail. It was all over the news, and it's interesting when you find out. What we're going to do, we're going to do an experiment. We're going to look at this dash camera and replicate what the police department is doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. Now, the details that are coming out of this case is the reason that this dash camera is cut before impact. In court, Officer Chad Mason testified to that he violated department policy. These details are really disturbing because when you're looking at this dash camera and then you start asking, why is this dash camera has no audio? Why is this dash camera cut before impact? Wait a minute, there's 17 frames missing from the camera facing inside the vehicle. You start asking questions. You want to find out why. Well, the more you look into this case, the more disturbing it gets. In court, the officer that showed up on scene is Officer Chad Mason. Officer Chad Mason testified in court. He said that he violated department policy. He violated the chain of custody when he handled the dash camera, Mustafa's dash camera. He said, I took the dash camera without a warrant. I took the SD cards. I downloaded the files. I sat on those files for 2 days. 2 days later is when I actually got a warrant for this dash camera. He said, normally, what we do is get a warrant, according to our department policy, according to chain of custody. We're supposed to get a warrant, and then I'm supposed to take the dash camera to digital forensic, and digital forensic is supposed to mirror and copy the files on this dash camera to protect the integrity of these files. Digital forensic is supposed to upload the dash camera to the server. Chad Mason is testifying to that he didn't do that. That he broke the chain of custody, he violated department policy, and he took possession of this dash camera without a warrant, downloaded the files, sat on the files for 2 days without a warrant. 2 days later is when he got a warrant. And he said, I uploaded these files to the server. It's not my job. I wasn't supposed to, but that's what I did. Now, the problem here is that we're looking at a dash camera that has no audio, that's cut before impact, that has 17 frames missing from inside the vehicle. It doesn't take a digital forensic to find out what really happened here. Chad Mason cut and muted this dash camera. Now, a bigger problem, in court, when he's asked about the audio, he said, the Commonwealth attorney is the one that told me it has no audio. That's a huge problem because you're the officer that's handling the dash camera. You're the officer that's in the field. If you're telling me that the Commonwealth attorney that's sitting in her office is telling you it has no audio, that's a huge problem. In other words, you're telling me that you were told to cut this dash camera by the Commonwealth Attorney Office. Let's pull up the transcript where Chad Mason says that in court. This is Officer Chad Mason. And if you go to the transcript from October 31st, 2024, Officer Chad Mason, this is page 25. So page 25, October 31st, 2024. This is from the motion to dismiss. Officer Chad Mason testified to you. Let's read this. I'm sure that there is, but I don't recall. I don't have any recollection. If you did notice that there was no audio, you would want to note that somewhere, right? Officer Chad Mason says, I know I was told from the Commonwealth Attorney Office that there was no audio. Let's read that from the beginning. So item 1, the defense attorney at the time, Blake Weiner, would ask Officer Chad Mason, did you know that anywhere? He's asking him about the audio. Did you know that this dash camera doesn't have audio anywhere? Chad Mason says, I don't recall. Defense attorney, but it is your recollection that when you played them, you did not hear audio. Chad Mason said, I never heard audio. But you don't recall, so the defense would ask him, but you don't recall if you ever noted that anywhere. Chad Mason says, I'm sure that there is, but I don't recall. I don't have any recollection. The defense asked Chad Mason, if you did notice that there was no audio, you would want to note that somewhere, right? Chad Mason replies, I know I was told from the Commonwealth Attorney Office that there was no sound. Wait a minute. Let that really sink in. Chad Mason is telling us that this dash camera doesn't have audio, that the Commonwealth Attorney is the one that's telling him it has no audio. Wait a minute. You're the officer that's in the field. You're the officer that's handling this dash camera. You're telling me the Commonwealth Attorney that's sitting in her office is telling you it has no audio? How would she know? Unless you're telling us that the Commonwealth Attorney instructed you to say there is no audio. The problem here is digital forensic is telling us in a leaked file that this dash camera does have audio. Let's pull up Kathy Zymas. This is Kathy Zymas.
My name is Katie Zamus. I'm a detective in digital forensics on the Prince William County Police Department.
This is a document from Mustafa's file that reads, although the last several videos recorded on the device did not appear to have sound, the sound record feature on the device was turned on. So she's telling us that the last couple of videos didn't have audio, but the rest of the dash camera did have audio. And then she goes on and she says, I opened it in this file, I opened it in that file, she opened it with the wrong media player. Because this dash camera has a very specific media player for it to open. Cassie Zyman said, I opened it in the file with VLC and the sound did not play. I then opened it with the last recorded file on the device with a program called Media Info, which showed that the file did not have an audio track. I then opened the file with Audacity, which is an audio editing program. The track that should have contained sound waves appeared flat. Now we go back to the first sentence. Cassie Zymuth said, although the last several videos recorded on the device did not appear to have sound. Kathy Zymuth, on October 31st, 2024, in the same motion, got on the stand, and testified that she heard the audio. Where is the audio? Why is Chad Mason telling us there is no... Why are we watching a full dash camera that has no audio? Cassie Zyme is telling us the last several videos didn't have audio, but the rest did. Where is the rest of the audio? Where is the audio? Look, something is happening in this with this police department and this prosecution office. When you're watching a dash camera that's cut before impact, that has no audio, for 3 years they tell us there's no audio. Well, now digital forensic is telling us there is audio. What's coming out of this case is Judge Carol Weimer, the county, gave the defense money for an independent expert. And if you've been tracking this case, there's an independent expert that's supposed to go in and look at the SD card and download the metadata off the SD card before it was tampered with by Officer Chad Mason. And they're going to download the full audio and the full dash camera with the collision. Now, we go back and focus on the motion that the prosecutor is filing. She wants to exclude Dr. Speckhard, that looked at this dash camera, that looked at Mustafa's expression and reaction, and says Mustafa's reaction is consistent with someone reacting to a vehicle accident. Now, what I want to do, I want to take Mustafa's dash camera and compare it to another dash camera. So that way we have a baseline. Because in reality, we don't know what we're looking at. You think you know what a normal reaction is, unless you're in Mustafa's shoes when there is a vehicle accident. No one really don't know how they're going to react. Are you going to freeze up? How are you going to react? Well, let's look at another dash camera and see how people react so we can get a baseline. This is a dash camera that I found. It was all over the news. It was on Daily Mail. Let's pull it up. And what I'm going to attempt to do is I'm going to attempt to replicate what this police department is doing in Mustafa's Al-Jazari case. Let's watch the full dash camera and see if you want to focus on the driver's reaction, you want to focus on the passenger reaction. Let's watch the dash camera.
How did you get us out of that? How the did we not get in an accident right there? How'd you do that?
I don't know. Just did it.
Let's watch that one more time.
How did you get us out of that? How the did we not get in an accident right there? How'd you do that?
I don't know. Just did it.
Now, when you're watching this dash camera, you'll realize that the driver barely had any reaction. The driver, to a certain extent, froze up. And he's focused on maneuvering the vehicle. But when you look at his face, to a large extent, he barely has a reaction. He has a reaction, but barely has a reaction. Compared to the passenger who's reacting to the accident, you can see that she's reacting. Let's zoom in on the driver. Let's zoom in on the driver. Let's watch that one more time. Watch the passenger reaction and watch the driver reaction. You watch the passenger, she's reacting. I mean, she's really reacting while the driver is focused on maneuvering the vehicle. And he's barely reacting with a facial expression. Now, let's watch it with sound.
How did you get us out of that?
Let's watch that. He's barely reacting because he's focused on maneuvering the vehicle.
How did you get us out of that? How the did we not get in an accident?
Let's watch that one more time.
How did you get us out of that?
I mean, really take a hard look at her reaction and his reaction. And what we're doing here is we're building a baseline. What is a normal reaction in a situation where you're about to have a vehicle accident? I mean, the prosecutor wants to litigate a case and tell you, because you're barely having a reaction and your passenger is reacting, you're doing something wrong here. Well, this is a whole entire dash camera, and we're looking at an individual that's driving a vehicle and he's about to have an accident. And he's reacting, but he freezes. He's reacting, but he's barely reacting because he's focused on driving. While his passenger, she doesn't have to worry about the vehicle. She doesn't have to worry about maneuvering the vehicle. She doesn't have to worry about, she has no control of she's reacting. You see that on her facial reaction. Let's watch that one more time.
How did you get us out of that? How the did we not? How did you get us out?
Now, what you're watching here is the full dash camera. What if I replicate what this police department is doing in Mustafa's case? What if I take the dash camera and remove the audio? Can we say that they're arguing inside the vehicle? We could. Let's do that. Let's remove the audio off of this dash camera. Let's do that together. Chad Mason. We're going to pretend that I'm Chad Mason. I take Mustafa's dash camera. Without a warrant, I download the files and I have 2 days. And I sit on the files for 2 days. Without a warrant. And in the background, what I'm doing is take this dash camera and I'm just going to remove the audio. All right, so let's remove the audio off of this dash camera. Now, I'm not just going to remove the audio. I'm going to cut it before impact. Let's do that. And let's watch it. Let's watch that same dash camera together. That's what they're doing in Mustafa's case. I mean, watch her reaction. And if you cut it before he's having this is the full dash cam without the audio. What if I cut it? What if I cut it here? What if I cut it at exactly here, right before he's reacting? I could. Isn't that what they're doing in Mustafa's case? They took 17 frames. The camera facing inside the vehicle is cut while the camera facing outside the vehicle is still rolling. And it's cut before impact. What if I take the same dash camera and cut it right here? Right before he's having a full reaction. I mean, and then tell you that they're arguing inside the vehicle and litigate this case and tell you what Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is saying in Mustafa's case. Look at the passenger. Look at his girlfriend. She's reacting, but he's not reacting. I mean, are we all watching this together? Let's watch that one more time. That's what she's telling you. Because of her reaction, that he must be driving and causing the accident. That he's intentionally causing the accident. That's what Sarah Sammy's telling us. I mean, really, take a hard look at his passenger and take a hard look at the driver. You just demonized this driver. You remove the audio. You cut it before he's having a full reaction, before impact. And you're telling me because your passenger is reacting more than you are, therefore, you're intentionally causing the accident. Let's watch Mustafa's dash camera. This is Mustafa's dash camera. This is Mustafa's reaction moments before the vehicle accident. They cut this dash camera. This is Mustafa's reaction. Is Mustafa reacting to a vehicle accident? Mustafa's jaw is wide open, his tongue inside his cheeks, panicking, reacting to a vehicle accident. Now, keep in mind that this is a dash camera that's cut before impact, that has 17 frames missing. 17 frames are missing while the camera facing outside is still rolling. This is what we're litigating. The same way I cut the other dash camera, I removed the audio. That's what this police department is doing in Mustafa's case. I mean, when you watch this dash camera, you see that Mustafa's reacted to a vehicle accident. You see here that Mustafa is attempting to pass the vehicle in front of him. He took the wrong lane. There is nowhere to go. At this point here, there is nowhere to go. He's passing the vehicle in front of him. He finds himself in a lane. That's the wrong lane. He took the wrong lane. There is nowhere to go. He can't go right. He can't get back into traffic. That vehicle is blocking him. That vehicle is blocking him. You can't get back into traffic. He ends up in oncoming traffic. When that vehicle, you can't get back into traffic, you're already in oncoming traffic. There's a medium in front of you. You're already in oncoming traffic. What he did, he avoided the first vehicle. Avoided the first vehicle. Avoided the first vehicle, the second vehicle, which is, you see these vehicles, avoided this vehicle, avoided that vehicle, and made it to the fourth lane. So, avoided the first vehicle, the second vehicle, the third vehicle, the SUV, avoided the fourth vehicle, and made it all the way into the fourth lane. That's according to the investigator on the scene, Robert Drum. Now, the dash camera cuts off here. Did Mustafa do everything he can to avoid the vehicle accident? Absolutely. Mustafa avoided the first vehicle, the second vehicle, the third vehicle, the fourth vehicle, made it all the way to the fourth lane. Was Mustafa's foot on the brake the whole entire time? The computer showed that his foot was on the brake the whole entire time trying to stop the vehicle. Only on the brake. He wasn't hitting the gas pedal. His foot was not on the gas pedal. His foot was only on the brake the whole entire time trying to stop the vehicle and avoided every vehicle. The police department inspected Mustafa's vehicle and they found brake failure. There's a body cam where the police department inspected Mustafa's vehicle and they find brake failure. The vehicle would not stop. Here, when Mustafa couldn't get back into traffic, there is nowhere to go. You end up in oncoming traffic. Here, Mustafa is slamming on the brake. The computer inside the ACM showed that his foot was on the brake the whole entire time, trying to stop the vehicle, but the vehicle would not stop. And then he avoids the first vehicle, the second vehicle, the third vehicle, the fourth vehicle, and makes it all the way to the fourth lane, according to the investigator himself, Robert Drum. And we're going to go over that video. We're going to go over the body cam where they find brake failure. We're going to go over the ACM. And what I want to do is go back to the dash camera that we were talking about earlier. I mean, where the prosecutor in this motion is litigating Mustafa's facial expression. And she wants to tell you that because of Mustafa, once she says there is no reaction, well, clearly Mustafa is reacting to the vehicle accident. That's a lie. That's Mustafa's. His jaw is wide open. His tongue is stuck inside his cheeks. But she wants to tell you that his girlfriend is having more of a reaction than he is. Well, he's maneuvering the vehicle. When we look at the other dash camera to get a baseline, you find out in a moment of panic, the driver is focused on maneuvering out of the accident. I mean, this is what we're watching here. When you watch this, you want to tell me, Prosecutor Sarasami, because this passenger, his passenger, is reacting more than the driver, therefore he's guilty? How does that make any sense? That's what Prosecutor Sarasami is doing. And they take it further. They cut Mustafa's dash camera, remove the audio. I mean, let's do that here. I mean, we're doing that here. I mean, take a hard look at what we're doing here. If you cut this dash camera, you remove the audio, it looks really bad. Oh my God, she's reacting more than he is. What's wrong with this guy? And you realize that a normal reaction, the driver is focused on maneuvering out of the accident. It makes no sense to sit here and say, because your passenger is reacting more than you are, therefore you're driving and you want to cause the accident. That makes no sense. And then you find out that they removed the audio. There is audio, but they removed it. This dash camera is cut before impact, and they took 17 frames from your facial reaction. I mean, take a hard look at this dash camera that we cut. I cut. I removed the audio. I cut it. I mean, and now when you look at it, it looks really bad, doesn't it? She's reacting more than he is. I mean, and then when you watch the full dash camera, you realized. Let's put back the audio. Let's play the full dash camera.
How did you get us out of that? How the did we not get in an accident right there? How did you do that?
I don't know. Just get it.
Now, remove the audio. And it looks really bad. I mean, look at her reaction. Can we say that they were arguing? We could. Prosecutor Sarasami wants to show us a dash camera that her officer removed the audio, that her officer cut before impact, that her officer removed 17 frames from Mustafa's dash camera, and tell us they're arguing inside the vehicle moments before the vehicle accident. They're arguing inside the vehicle. That's what she wants to tell us. And she wants to say, look at her reaction and look at his reaction. She's having more of a reaction. Therefore, they're arguing inside the car. Oh, therefore, he's intentionally driving into and causing the accident. And then you find out that when the full dash camera leak, you find out that they were sharing a hemp cigarette inside the vehicle. This is the dash camera. If you rewind it, Because on NBC4, the prosecutor released 4 seconds, an edited version of a dash camera. This is the dash camera, where if you rewind it, literally 20 seconds, you see that Mustafa and Dorothy are sharing a cigarette. And the way Dorothy feels Mustafa's fingers, how could they be arguing if they're sharing a cigarette? And they shared that hemp cigarette 6 times. How do we know it's a hemp cigarette? Well, the toxicology report tell you it's a hemp cigarette. Dorothy has cancer. Let's pull up the toxicology report. Dorothy has cancer, and because of her cancer, she smokes hemp. Let's see if we can pull up the toxicology report. There we go. Department of Forensic Science. This is the toxicology report. Blood alcohol non-detected. So no alcohol in Mustafa's system. THC 0.0003. There is no THC in Mustafa's system. There is no drugs in Mustafa's system. What they're smoking inside the vehicle is hemp. And they passed that hemp cigarette back and forth 6 times. But for 3 years, the prosecutor sealed off this dash camera. And if it wasn't for this dash camera being leaked, we wouldn't find out that they're sharing a cigarette, a hemp cigarette inside the vehicle. Now, let's dive into the prosecutor motion to exclude Dr. Speckhard. Now, before we read the motion, let's read the affidavit of Dr. Speckhard. And who is Dr. Speckhard? All right, so if you go on TikTok under Beyond the Metal Bars, we've posted the affidavit for Dr. Speckhard. All right. Item 1, affidavit of Dr. Ann Speckhard. Item 1, Dr. Ann Speckhard states as follows. So item 1, I am over the age of 18 and qualified to make this affidavit. I'm a resident. Item 2, I'm a resident of the state of Virginia and make this affidavit based on my own personal and professional knowledge. Item 3, I have no direct or indirect interest in the outcome of this case, for which I am offering observation, analysis, opinion, and testimony. I obtained a Bachelor of Science from the University of Wisconsin at Madison in 1980. Item 5, I obtained a Master's of Science in Child and Family Studies from the University of Wisconsin at Madison in 1981. Item 6, I obtained a PhD in Family Social Science from the University of Minnesota at St. Paul in 1985. Item 7, I am currently the Director of International Center for the Study of Violent Extremism, ICSVE, served for over 2 decades as Adjunct Associate Professional of Psychiatry at Georgetown University School of Medicine, and also served as an affiliate in the Center of Security Studies, Georgetown University. Item 8, I'm a member in good standing of the American Psychological Associate. I'm licensed in Virginia as both as licensed professional counselor and marriage and family therapy, and I have a clinical psychotherapy practice. Item 9, I have been qualified as an expert witness in numerous learning, including in testimony before Congress and federal district court, military court, Virginia Circuit Court, and immigration court. Item 10, I have been specifically qualified as an expert witness in psychological trauma in numerous matters. Item 11, as a result of my educational and experience and my review of the literature, I have working knowledge and expertise in individual physically and emotionally respond to traumatic situations and dangerous circumstances, including how individuals respond in a split-second decision-making situation and after traumatic event. Really focus on item 11 because this is what you need an expert to weigh in this case. Because when we're looking at a dash camera that has no audio, that is cut before impact, that dash camera that you think you know what a normal reaction is, but you really don't. I mean, we just looked at another dash camera and you think your reaction as a driver is going to be the same reaction as a passenger. It's not. It's not going to be the same reaction because your focus is on maneuvering the vehicle out of that situation. And you need an expert to look at that person, body language, facial expression, and tell you if they're reacting normally. How would a normal person react in a traumatic situation? And that's where Dr. Speckhard comes in. We're going to read item 11 one more time. As item 11, as a result of my education and experience and my review of the literature, I have working knowledge and expertise in how individuals physically and emotionally respond to traumatic situations and dangerous circumstances, including how individuals respond in a split-second decision-making situation and after traumatic events. I want to remind everybody that's tuning in into our podcast, follow us on YouTube under Not Another Boring Podcast. Don't forget to support the channel. Hit the like button, support the channel. You can support the channel directly, or you can Cash App our Cash App to support the channel. Our Cash App is going to be, we're going to put it in the lower right corner. Should be in the lower right corner. It should be. Let's see if I can point at it. There we go. It's going to be in the bottom right corner. Our Cash App is $NABPOD. Cash App, this Cash App, that's how you're going to support our channel so we can continue doing what we're doing. We're also selling shirts. Each shirt is $25. Send us your information and we'll send it. We're in the process of building a website so that way you can directly buy the shirt from the website. In the meantime, you can just message us directly and we'll ship you out the shirt. The shirt is $25 and whatever the shipping cost. I want to thank everybody for being here. Make sure you tune in to YouTube. Follow our YouTube because we're going to be playing certain videos. I want to thank Casey for doing what she's doing on TikTok. And if you have another device, log in to YouTube under Not Another Boring Podcast so you can see the videos that we're going over. All right, so item 11, we just read item 11. Item 12, I am familiar with the fact of this case and have specifically reviewed the interior dash camera video of the defendant, Mustafa Al-Jazari, reaction immediately before the car crash in this matter. All right, so she's telling you that she looked at the dash camera facing inside the vehicle. More specifically, I'm aware of the allegation that Mr. Al-Jazari steered his vehicle into oncoming traffic while in the middle of an intersection, that Mr. Al-Jazari failed to forcibly depress the brake pedal in his vehicle, and that Mr. Al-Jazari stated to law enforcement after the event that he did not recall certain details regarding the crash. In my expert opinion, that Mr. Al-Jazari, item 13, in my expert opinion, that Mr. Al-Jazari action and reaction, specifically including but not limited to his decision to steer his vehicle to the left into opposite traffic when he was in an intersection with his car lane ending. Item 2, his facial expression and reaction immediately before the crash. Item 3, his failure to forcibly depress the brake pedal in his vehicle. Item 4, his failure to recall detail after the crash are all completely consistent with a lay individual trying but failing to avoid a dangerous situation, but freezing or shutting down, and the subsequent psychological response to a traumatic event. More specifically, Mr. Al-Jazari's action and reaction before the crash are completely consistent with an individual reacting to a dangerous and traumatic situation while trying to avoid harm. And it is incredibly common for individual to freeze and fail to respond optimally when faced with a dangerous and or traumatic event, specifically in quickly changing and life-threatening circumstances. It is also incredible common for individuals to have a dissociated response in the case of a traumatic event and thus not remember all details of traumatic event after they occur. I'm executing this affidavit to attest that the above statement and opinion are based on my educational experience and research and based on the reasonable degree of scientific certainty. All right, so Dr. Ann Speckhard signs it at the bottom. This is the affidavit for the expert that's coming into this case that looked at the dash camera, looked at the evidence, and is telling you Mustafa's reaction is consistent with someone reacting to a vehicle accident, to a normal person reacting to a vehicle accident. That his reaction is normal to someone reacting to a vehicle accident. The prosecutor is alleging that Mustafa is not reacting to, and because of his girlfriend is reacting more than he is, therefore Mustafa is doing something wrong. Dr. Ann Speckhard, an expert that has the background, that looked at this dash cam, tells you this reaction is normal. Mustafa's reaction is normal and is consistent to someone trying to avoid a dangerous situation. Now, what we're going to do, before we dive into the motion that Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck filed, let's take a look and recap what they're doing in Mustafa's case. And what we've done, we've reached out to a couple of agencies, and they're in the process of, we're giving them the details that are coming out of Mustafa's case. And what they want to do is bring this case to life. What does that mean? They're animating the whole story. They're getting the transcripts. They're getting the police body cams that have leaked. And what they're doing is they're animating the whole story. And these are samples of where we're at with the project. And it's going to be beautiful. I mean, this is a huge problem for the county. And it's a huge problem for the police department and the prosecution office, because it's one thing when you're reading transcripts. It's one thing when we're doing a podcast about the details. It's a whole different ball game when you're turning the whole project, the whole case, into a movie. It's going to be a really bumpy ride for the police department and the prosecution office. I mean, this is going to get the story. You want to talk about the platform going viral? We're tiptoeing around it. The prosecution is getting away with what they're doing. It's because the case was sealed. Well, now it's leaked. That this platform is not viral. It's a small channel. Well, it's going to get to a point where it's viral. With the project that we're jumping into, it's one thing to read the transcript. It's a whole different ball game when you're watching a movie of what Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and this police department is doing to Mustafa. Let's jump right in. All right. So the first video, I mean, this is beautiful. I mean, it's one thing to talk about what Sarah Sammy is doing in Mustafa's case. It's another thing to actually watch a movie about what they're doing in Mustafa's case. This is Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. According to the body cam that have been leaked, according to the transcripts and the document in Mustafa's case, the prosecutor and the police department blocked the independent expert from reconstructing Mustafa's vehicle. Let's watch what they're doing in Mustafa's case.
Your Honor, as agreed, we made...
So in court, they would tell the judge one thing, but behind closed doors, on body cam, we're watching that they're actually blocking the independent expert. The question is, why are they terrified? Oh, that's right. They found brake failure. Oh, that's right. They went and crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle.
Your Honor, as agreed, we made the vehicle available for examination by the defense's independent expert this morning.
Noted. We'll move on.
They're expecting to get their hands on that car tomorrow. Make sure the garage is under maintenance until we say otherwise.
Understood.
Good. Keep it quiet. Your Honor.
Let's watch that one more time.
Your Honor, as agreed, we made the vehicle available for examination by the defense's independent expert this morning.
Noted. We'll move on.
They're expecting to get their hands on that car tomorrow. Make sure the garage is under maintenance until we say otherwise.
Understood.
Good.
Why are they terrified? Oh, that's right. They found brake failure, and they went ahead and crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle. This is Robert Drum.
Officer Robert Drum fills in the blanks.
Robert Drum, who falsified Mustafa's statements. Robert Drum, in his report, he put, Mustafa told him I was arguing inside the vehicle. Mustafa never said that. There's a recording of the conversation. But when you read the report, you find out that Robert Drum wrote in his police report that, Mustafa, you told me. Robert Drum falsified that report. Let's watch Robert Drum being animated.
Officer Robert Drum filled in the blanks the way he wanted. Slow, steady strokes. Subject stated he was arguing with his girlfriend inside the vehicle. That's what he wrote. But Mustafa Al-Jazari never said those words.
Stephanie Claiborne Drum, you always, according to your husband on the body cam, you love watching CSI shows. That you love CSI shows. I mean, he had you on three-way in a body cam, and he talks about you're in love with CSI shows. Well, Stephanie Claiborne Drum, how do you like your husband all over the internet, and now he's going to be animated in a movie? Let's watch that one more time.
Officer Robert Drum filled in the blanks the way he wanted. Officer Robert Drum filled in the blanks the way he wanted. Slow, steady strokes. Subject stated he was arguing with his girlfriend inside the vehicle. That's what he wrote. But Mustafa Al-Jazari never said those words.
By the way, this is all over the news. What Robert Drum did is already all over the news. Let's watch NBC4 and what NBC4 is telling us.
For tonight, there are new questions being raised in the case of a man charged with murder for a crash that killed his girlfriend and her 5-year-old daughter last year.
They come after Prince William's police chief ruled the investigating officer had violated department policy. Northern Virginia Bureau Chief Julie Carey spoke to the driver's defense attorney about why he thinks the finding casts doubt on the case.
Mustafa Al-Jazari has been behind bars for almost a year now, accused of intentionally driving his car into oncoming traffic, a crash that killed Dorothy Fontaine and her 5-year-old daughter, Empress.
Julie Carey is not going to tell you that they found brake failure. It's not going to tell you that there's a computer. The computer inside Mustafa's vehicle showed that his foot is on the brake the whole entire time. And it's been 3 years, and Julie Carey is nowhere to be found ever since that file got leaked all over the internet.
Initially charged with manslaughter, the charges were later upgraded to second-degree murder. Al-Jazari's family insists the crash was an accident. The defendant's brothers filed an internal affairs complaint with the Prince William County Police, alleging the investigating officer, quote, falsified a portion of his police report to say that the couple was arguing before the crash. Al-Jazari's brother provided a taped version of a phone conversation that contradicted portions of the written police report. Last month, the Al-Jazari family received this brief letter from Prince William Police Chief Peter Newsham reading, "The investigation revealed that Master Police Officer Drum violated department policy, therefore appropriate corrective action has been taken." Al-Jazari hired a new defense attorney, Blake Weiner, who tells me he specializes in police misconduct cases.
The police report talks about my client saying, "I know what happened." He didn't say that. The police report also says that they were arguing in the car. He didn't say that. These are not only these material facts and material misrepresentations, they're the foundation of the government's case.
Oh, interesting. Interesting. The main investigator falsifies the foundation of this case. Let's go back and watch. Actually, let's finish.
Court documents filed by prosecutors say there is other evidence supporting the charges, including dash cam video from the vehicle. But there's no audio on the recording.
Oh, no audio. No audio.
They don't have audio of the dash camera, but here they are telling the public they were arguing. So if they don't have audio, and my client didn't say they're arguing despite the police report saying so, what's their basis? We don't know.
And then you find out that the reason there is no audio is because the officer that handled this dash camera, he took possession of the dash camera without a warrant, sat on the files for 2 days. And then finally, when this dash camera makes it to digital forensic and a leaked file tell you this dash camera does have audio. You have an officer that cut, Officer Chad Mason, took this dash camera before he gave it to digital forensic, took the dash camera without a warrant and sat on it for 2 days. And now you have a dash camera that has no audio, it's cut before impact, and has 17 frames missing from inside the vehicle. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, in her statement, she tells you, I have a dash camera. But of course, at the time, she wouldn't release it. And then when finally released it, she released 4 seconds, an edited version of this dash camera, and she doesn't release the part where it shows moments before the vehicle accident, they were sharing a cigarette. Wait a minute, Commonwealth Amy Ashworth. Your officer cut and mute this dash camera. You go as far as seal this dash camera, and you hide the portion where they're sharing a cigarette. Let's go over this dash camera one more time. Moments, if you rewind this dash camera, you find out moments before this dash camera is cut by the police department. If you rewind it, this is a sealed dash camera. Now it's leaked. You find out that the dash camera that's leaked, it shows that they're sharing a cigarette. And the way Dorothy feels Mustafa's fingers, they're sharing a hemp cigarette. Where's the argument? They're passing that hemp cigarette 6 times. But Commonwealth Amy Ashworth seals off the dash camera, cuts this dash camera, release an edited version of this dash camera on NBC4, and hides the fact that they're sharing a hemp cigarette. And she wants to tell you they're arguing. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth at the time tells you that she has a dash camera, that this dash camera has no audio. Well, let's watch what they're doing in Mustafa's case. So you have one officer that falsifies Mustafa's statements. You have another officer that cuts and mutes Mustafa's dash camera. To drive the point home, the agency that we're working with took the details coming out of this case and animated this for us.
Recorded. The dash cam's still rolling. Not anymore. Let's clear the scene. Not for long. Recorded.
Now, let's go to the actual dash camera. What did Chad Mason at the scene? I mean, we heard what Chad Mason is telling us in court, that he took the dash camera without a warrant, sat on the files for 2 days. Well, let's go to the dash camera on the scene. What did Chad Mason tell us about this dash camera? This is Chad Mason at the scene, and he's telling us that the wire is cut. And then he immediately changes the conversation to, I'm hungry. Are you guys hungry? Mustafa is in a coma. Mustafa is helicoptered to the hospital. Mustafa's family, his girlfriend, the 5-year-old baby, a major vehicle accident. And you're telling me when you're talking about this dash, you change the conversation to you're hungry? Let's watch what Chad Mason is talking about.
You got thing? No, this is first rotate up.
And really let me know. Let's see if this reaction is normal.
You got thing?
No, is Chad Mason lying about the dash camera?
You got thing? No, this is first rotate up there.
How about cameras? We got any cameras?
So they have a dash camera on the.
We got Target.
Yeah,
Target's a dash cam. Target's going to pick up big time.
Is it still running? Can't. No, the cable's broke. So it could be. I don't know if it was broke before or broke now, but it's broke. I am starving like mom.
Yeah, I'll get you some food in a minute here.
I just need water. Just water.
That I have a case. I have a whole case of water.
Nice. It sounds like
You want to tell me that's normal? I mean, let's watch that one more time.
I am starving like mom.
Yeah, I'll get you some food in a minute here.
It's broke. So it could be. I don't know if it was broke before. Is it still running? Can't. No, the cable's broke. So it could be. I don't know if it was broke before or broke now, but it's broke. I am starving like mom.
Yeah, I'll get you some food in a minute here.
I just need water. Just water.
That I have a case.
You want to tell me that's a normal reaction? A major vehicle accident. Mustafa's helicoptered to the hospital. His family is rushed to the hospital. And how about cameras? How about cameras? Yeah, the wire was broke. I'm hungry. Are you guys hungry? You want to tell me that's a normal reaction? And then you find out in court, he says, I took the dash camera without a warrant. I sat on the files for 2 days. I'm going to go on a limb and say that this officer cut the wire. And the question is, where is the wire? Where is the wire to this dash camera? Where is this officer's body cam? This officer is clearly wearing a police body cam. Where is his body cam?
We got Target.
Where is his body cam when he handled...
You got thing? No, there's a... You got thing?
Where is his body cam when he handled Mustafa's dash camera?
No, there's this first rotate up there.
How about
cable's broke?
Clearly, he's wearing a police body cam. Where is his body cam and why is his body cam not in Mustafa's file? Let's ask a better question. The officer that's asking him about the dash camera, that's Robert Drum. Why is Robert Drum's body cam spliced into 2 body cams and 17 minutes are missing when Chad Mason and Robert Drum walks up to Chad Mason and Chad Mason is inside Mustafa's vehicle at the scene? Why is that body cam chopped up? It gets chopped up as soon as Robert Drum walks up to Chad Mason. That body cam, Chad Mason is next to and is inside Mustafa's vehicle, and you can see Chad Mason is telling him, "Get the fuck out of here! Like, don't come here, dude. Fuck off." That body cam gets cut. 17 minutes later, the body cam for Robert Drum is spliced, and 17 minutes are missing. Right where Chad Mason, this officer, is inside Mustafa's vehicle. Where is that 17 minutes? And why is it not in Mustafa's file? So, the body cam from Robert Drum is spliced, and 17 minutes are missing. The body cam for Chad Mason, this officer, is missing. The wire is missing because you can find out if the wire was pulled, if the wire was spliced, if the wire was cut. You're talking about a dash camera that has no audio and is cut before impact. To really drive the point home, let's watch the agency animate these details for us.
Recorded.
The dash cam's still rolling. Not anymore. Let's clear the scene.
Not for long. Recorded.
The dash cam's still rolling. Not anymore. Let's clear the scene.
Erica, thank you for being here.
How are you?
Doing okay. Doing all right. How are you?
I'm good.
Hi, Erica.
Erica,
Hey.
how long have you been watching the podcast from today?
Not very long. Probably like 2 weeks or so.
2 weeks.
I locked up.
No,
Yeah, locked
I'm
up.
talking about today's podcast. Did you watch from the beginning?
Oh,
Yeah.
No, I did not.
Okay. I'm glad you're here. I'm happy that you're here. We're talking about the motion. The prosecutor is filing a motion to remove Dr. Speckhard, an expert that watched the dash camera and is weighing in on Mustafa's reaction to the vehicle accident.
Okay.
So if you have any question, let me know. Feel free to just ask me any question. Right, yes, ma'am. Right now we're going over why is this dash camera cut before impact and has no audio? Because we're all watching a dash camera that, one, has no audio and it's cut before impact. And the question is, why? All right, so let's get back into. All right, so this is Chad Mason. Let's watch that one more time. Erica, so we reached out to an agency that is animating the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. They're taking the body cams, they're taking the document, so I think we're putting this vehicle in third gear.
Wow.
I'm happy. It's going to be a bumpy ride for the police department and the prosecution office, because it's one thing when you're talking about reading transcript. It's another thing when you're watching body cams. It's a whole different ball game when you're watching a movie based on the leaked details out of this case. That's a problem for the prosecution office. Erica, we're watching Chad Mason, the officer that handled the dash camera. And if you have another device, log into YouTube under Not Another Boredom Podcast, and you'll see the videos that we're playing. It's a lot easier to follow what we're doing here. This is a video that this agency animated for us. They took the body cam, they took the transcript. Chad Mason in court, he says, I took the body cam. He said, I took the body cam. No, he said, I took the dash camera without a warrant, sat on the files for 2 days. 2 days later is when I got a warrant for this dash camera. Well, the problem here is that this dash camera doesn't have audio and is cut before impact. You don't need to be a digital forensic to find out that this officer cut this dash camera, removed the audio. And the reason we say that is because digital forensic is now telling us that this dash camera has audio. I mean, in the leak file, you find a document with digital forensic that when they finally got this dash camera from this officer, they say that this dash camera does have audio. But the prosecution for 3 years, they're using a police officer that cut and muted this dash camera. And they're telling you there is no audio. You find out that, one, this officer cut the wire on the scene. This officer removed the audio and cut this dash camera before impact. Let's watch what this officer is doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case.
Recorded.
The dash cam's still rolling. Not anymore. Let's clear the scene.
Not for long. Recorded.
The dash cam's still rolling.
All right, so that's what's going on the scene. We're going to take everybody into the courtroom and find out what went on in the motion to dismiss. Because Officer Chad Mason took the stand and he testified to taking possession of the dash camera. Taking possession of the dash camera, and he said, I took possession of the files on this dash camera, that I downloaded the files, sat on those files for 2 days before I got a warrant. I violated department policy. Let's watch what's going on in court.
Your Honor, the dash cam does not record audio and the feed stops before the crash. There's nothing more to review.
Your Honor, at this point, I would like to call Officer Chad Mason to the stand. Officer Mason.
I took the position of the dash camera. 2 days. No warrant. Pulled the SD card, downloaded the files. I knew it broke policy. Still did it. Didn't care.
Officer Mason, are you telling this court you personally broke the chain of custody when handling the dash camera pulled from Mustafa Al-Jazairi's car?
Look, I know what the policy says. I read it, same as everybody else. But in the moment, I didn't care. I did what I did to Al-Jazairi because I wanted to. Policy wasn't going to stop me.
So you admit you chose to violate department rules?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm...
Let the record...
We're going to watch that one more time. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy tells the judge there is no audio, and she's relying on Officer Chad Mason. And this is directly from the transcript. And what we're going to do on the upcoming, we're going to have multiple podcasts where we're going to go over the transcript, and this agency is going to animate the whole entire case. So we're going to have a lot of fun litigating this case all over the internet. Let's watch this one more time. This is Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. She tells the judge there is no audio. This officer takes the stand, and he tells the defense, at the time it was Blake Weiner. This is from October 31st, 2024. October 31st, 2024, motion to dismiss. The defense, Blake Weiner, is cross-examining Officer Chad Mason.
Your Honor... Your Honor, the dash cam does not record audio and the feed stops before the crash. There's nothing more to review.
Your Honor, at this point, I would like to call Officer Chad Mason to the stand. Officer Mason.
I took the position of the dash camera. 2 days. No warrant. Pulled the SD card, downloaded the files. I knew it broke policy. Still did it. Didn't care.
Officer Mason, are you telling this court you personally broke the chain of custody when handling the dash camera pulled from Mustafa Al-Jazairi's car?
Look, I know what the policy says. I read it, same as everybody else. But in the moment, I didn't care. I did what I did to Al-Jazairi because I wanted to. Policy wasn't going to stop me.
So you admit you chose to violate department rules?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm...
Let the record reflect his admission.
Your Honor, at this point,
All right, so here, Blake Weiner, at the time, the defense, call on digital forensic, Kathy Zymuth. Kathy Zymuth is with digital forensic, is the officer that finally got this dash camera from Officer Chad Mason. Here, you'll hear directly from the transcript from October 31st, 2024, Officer Zymuth testifies to that this dash camera does have audio. Now, this case has been leaked. In a document, Officer Zymuth admit that this dash camera does have audio. And then Kathy Zymuth, digital forensic, takes a stand and admit there's audio. The question here is, where is the audio? The prosecutor, the Commonwealth attorney, has been telling us for 3 years there is no audio. Well, here, your digital forensic is telling us there is audio. And this is directly from the transcript.
would like to call Officer...
Let the record reflect his admission.
Your Honor, at this point, I would like to call Officer Kathy Zymuth with digital forensics to the stand.
Very well.
I'm Kathy Zymuth. I'm a digital forensic analyst with the Prince William County Police Department.
Crash, I collected Officer Al-Jazairi's dash camera.
Zymuth with digital forensics.
Chose to violate department rules?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm...
Let the record reflect his admission.
Your Honor, at this point, I would like to call Officer Kathy Zymuth with digital forensics to the stand.
Very well.
I'm Kathy Zymuth. I'm a digital forensic analyst with the Prince William County Police Department.
Crash, I collected Officer Al-Jazairi's dash camera and logged it. When I came in the next morning, the seal was broken and it was sitting on my desk.
In court, are you telling me Officer Chad Mason broke the chain of custody in handling Mustafa Al-Jazairi's dash camera?
Counselor, watch your tone.
Did he or didn't he, officer?
The question was whether this dash camera captured sound. Yes, it does.
The unit is equipped with an internal microphone. When I reviewed the file, the audio track was active and recording the entire drive.
We're gonna watch that one more time. We're gonna watch this one more time. Officer Zymuth takes a stand and admit that when she finally got this dash camera does have audio. So you're telling me for 3 years, Mustafa is held in solitary confinement. No trial. You're not taking him to trial. You refuse to take him to trial. You have him in solitary confinement. And you're telling this whole entire community all over NBC4 that this dash camera does not have audio. When your digital forensic is admitting that it has audio, your officer cut and muted this dash camera. And you, the prosecutor, is relying on that officer. Now, wait a minute. Your digital forensic is telling you it has audio. But you're comfortable because that case was sealed. The Commonwealth attorney sealed off the case. No one knows what digital forensic is talking about because it was a sealed case. Well, now there's a giant leak and it's all over the internet. We're reading the transcript. We're watching the document. We're reading the document coming out of this case. That digital forensic admit that this dash camera has audio. Where is the audio in Mustafa's case? Let's watch that one more time.
Call Officer Kathy Zymus with digital forensics to the stand.
Very well. I'm Kathy Zymus. I'm a digital forensic analyst with the Prince William County Police Department.
Crash, I collected Officer Al-Jazari's dash camera and logged it. When I came in the next morning, the seal was broken and it was sitting on my desk.
In court, are you telling me Officer Chad Mason broke the chain of custody in handling Mustafa Al-Jazari's dash camera?
Counselor, watch your tone.
Did he or didn't he, officer?
The question was whether this dash camera captured sound. Yes, it does.
The unit is equipped with an internal microphone. When I reviewed the file, the audio track was active and recording the entire drive.
Your Honor, the dash cam does...
All right. Let's dive into the motion from Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck. In this motion, they want to tell you that the expert, Dr. Speckhard, should be removed off the case. That the jury should be able to tell what a normal reaction in a traumatic situation should be. How? How do you know how a person would react normal? A normal reaction you don't. Let's read the motion for Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. All right. Let's jump right in. All right. So Commonwealth motion in limine to exclude defense expert Dr. Speckhard and evidence of mental health. Come now, the Commonwealth, by her deputy and senior assistant, and respectfully request that this honorable court grant the Commonwealth motion limine to exclude defense expert Dr. Ann Speckhard and mental health evidence as follow. The Commonwealth will move to exclude any expert witness testimony under Virginia Code 19-2-271-6. Item B, the Commonwealth will move to exclude expert testimony and or mental health evidence regarding the defendant's action and state of mind immediately prior to the homicide. Indictment. In the indictment, the defendant was charged with the following: 2 counts of first-degree murder in violation of VA Code. Okay, 2 counts of felony murder in violation of VA Code, an attempted malicious wounding in violation of Virginia Code, child abuse in violation of VA Code, and 1 count of aggravated malicious wounding in violation of Virginia Code. I find it really interesting that they want to charge Mustafa with child abuse when there is home videos, Google Nest videos that show it's a beautiful relationship. And the prosecution pretends there's no Google Nest videos. I've never seen a case where the prosecutor seals off the case and they want to pretend and lie to the community and tell them there is no Google Nest videos inside the apartment. Pretend like it doesn't exist. And now there's a giant leak where the community is watching the Google Nest videos inside the apartment that shows it's a beautiful relationship. As a matter of fact, body cam and forensic interview showed the police department weaponized a 9, a 10, a 14 in this case against Mustafa. Children that loved Mustafa. Mustafa, that is a father figure in their life. The police department weaponized. And all you have to do is go over to our YouTube channel and watch the forensic interview and watch the Google Nest videos and see what the police department have done in this case. But it's coming up. and it's going to be litigated in court. And that's what they're terrified from. And that's why Mustafa sits in solitary confinement and the prosecution refused to take him to court. They're terrified because they know the home videos are going to come up in court. And it's going to show that they've been lying about Mustafa, pretending the Google Nest doesn't exist. The defendant has not filed a notice pursuant to Virginia Code 19.2-271 of an intent to introduce evidence of accused mental condition at the time of the alleged offense. So what this prosecutor is trying to do, this is what she's doing. She says, according to Virginia Code 19.2-27.6, that Mustafa has to have a mental health problem. He has to have a mental health problem. And because he doesn't have a mental health problem, you can't bring in experts. What do you mean? That's not true. You can absolutely bring in an expert to weigh in on what we're seeing on this dash camera. And he doesn't have to have a mental health issue for him to bring in an expert. What are you talking about? I mean, she's literally just pulling things out of her ass. That makes absolutely no sense and is going to be litigated in the motion that's coming up. You want to tell me the only way you can bring in an expert to weigh in on the dash camera when the expert background is in reaction and facial expression and reaction to traumatic events, to dangerous situation. That's her background. That's the expert. She weighs in and she tells you, does the body language, does the facial expression match up with a person that's normally reacting to a dangerous situation? That's her background. That's the expert. Here, the prosecutor tells you, according to 19, which is bullshit. He has to have a mental health problem. No, he doesn't. Mustafa does not have a mental health problem. And you're telling us the only way we can bring in the expert is if Mustafa has a mental... That's not true. Let's read that one more time. The defendant has not filed a notice pursuant of Virginia Code 19.2-271.6 of an intent to introduce evidence of accused mental condition at the time of the alleged offense. Yeah, Mustafa does not have a mental health problem. Does not have a history. He's not on any medication. He doesn't. You don't need Mustafa to have a mental health issue to bring in an expert. That doesn't make any sense. On September 30th, 2024, the defendants filed defendant Mustafa Al-Jazari motion to provide expert witness funds. In this motion, the defendant sought funds for Dr. Ann Speckhard, described as an expert on how individuals react and respond to traumatic event, who would testify regarding Mr. Al-Jazari action and reaction to the car accident in this case. The defendants proposed that Dr. Speckhard testifies that Mr. Al-Jazari action and reaction, specifically including but not limited to his decision to steer his vehicle to the left into opposite traffic when he was in an intersection with his car lane ending. His facial expression and reaction immediately before the crash. Item 3, his failure to forcibly depress the brake pedal in his vehicle. And item 4, and his failure to recall details after the crash are all completely consistent with a lay individual trying but failing to avoid a dangerous situation by freezing or shutting down, and the subsequent psychological response to a traumatic event. All right, so Dr. Ann Speckhard is going to be testifying to what she sees on dash camera. The defendant has not filed an expert witness notice for Dr. Speckhard. Okay, this is really interesting. She's telling you that the reason that this expert should be kicked off the case is because the defendant has not filed a notice that she's an expert. What do you mean? What are you talking about? The affidavit is there. All right, we'll file you a notice. You want a notice? We'll file you a notice. As if there is not enough notice that Dr. Speckhard is coming in hot and is telling you, you are lying about Mustafa. That Mustafa's reaction is normal and is consistent with someone reacting to a dangerous situation. Let's read that one more time. The defendant has now filed an expert witness notice for Dr. Speckhard. The deadline for filing expert notice has been extended to January 26, 2026. The Commonwealth files this motion out of an abundance of caution. She wants herself a notice. We'll give you a notice, Dr. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, Prosecutor Stephanie Buck will give you a notice. You want a notice? We'll send you a notice. Statement of fact. This is my favorite. This is my favorite because we're going to go over the details. Now that this case is leaked, we can go over what you want to tell us, a statement of facts. It's not a sealed case anymore. Your Commonwealth attorney, Amy Ashworth, at one point sealed it. Well, I've reached all the way up her asshole, and my hand is coming out of her mouth where I'm speaking in real time for her. And apparently, I've been given the nickname of an octopus because Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is telling everybody the brother has his hand up my asshole too. Apparently, I've got my hand up everybody's asshole in this county. And I'm reaching into these body cams and I'm releasing them. The whole case is now leaked all over the internet. So when she says statement of facts, let's check this prosecutor in real time and see, is this prosecutor lying about Mustafa? This is my favorite portion. I mean, you think I like reaching into people's asshole? No, I don't. It stinks. I mean, yeah, I've got multiple hands, but it goddamn stinks. But I had to do it. Now I've got the file and I'm leaking it all over the internet. So let's dive into the statement of facts. On April 5th, 2023, the defendant, Mustafa Al-Jazari, murdered Dorothy Fontaine and Empress Fontaine. Well, I've got a dash camera that Mustafa is reacting to a vehicle accident. I've got a body cam that show that your police department, your mechanic, inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. I've got the ACM, the EDR data, and it shows that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Wait a minute. I've got a dash camera that shows Mustafa did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. But here you want to tell me murdered Dorothy Fontaine and Empress, murdered his family, as if this evidence doesn't exist. Oh, that's right. It was sealed. And you're comfortable that it was sealed, that this community is just going to take your word for it. Well, this file is leaked, and we can verify if you're lying to us. He drove a 2007 Chrysler at the intersection of Route 234 and Fortuna Central Plaza in Prince William County. Also in the vehicle were the defendant, romantic partner, Dorothy Ann Fontaine, seated in the front passenger seat, as Miss Fontaine's daughter, Empress, a juvenile, seated in the rear passenger side seat. All right. Let's look at the body cam where the police department inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck want to tell us that Mustafa did this on purpose. Well, let's look at a body cam that is sealed by Commonwealth Amy Ashworth, where the police mechanic inspect Mustafa's vehicle and find brake failure. This is a police mechanic inspecting the brakes on Mustafa's vehicle. And what you're going to see is you're going to see an officer that will depress the brakes. And you're going to see the mechanic spin the tire. And at one point, well, when he gets to the back passenger and the front passenger, you'll see that the tire continued to spin. Mustafa did not have brake. So the computer inside the vehicle, the ACM, shows that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time, but the vehicle would not stop. There is brake failure. We're going to fast forward to the part to press the brake. You're going to see the police mechanic. He's got a giant bar. He's going to be pressing on the brakes.
You did the other one? No, I was. One at a time? Go forward. Go forward. All right. He's going to push on the. Yeah, it works. It works? Okay.
All right, so the back driver works. The police mechanic is about to go up to the back passenger brake, and you're going to see the police mechanic press the officer press with a bar, press the brakes, and the police mechanic is going to be spinning the tire, and the tire is going to keep spinning. Mustafa did not have brakes. There's brake failure.
So it applied and released. Okay. You want me to do it all? Yeah. Just tell me when you're ready. You ready? Yep. I'm applying it. All right, this one's still going. That one's still going?
That one is still going. He's spinning the tire. The police officer with a bar, he's pressing the brake, and the other officer is spinning the tire, and the tire keeps spinning. Mustafa has brake failure. And they're going to go on, fast forward, and you're going to see here the officer that's inspecting Mustafa's vehicle. They find, according to the police mechanic, they find brake failure.
I don't know, Rob had it. Clipboard. Okay. It's a brand new rotors and everything. Yeah. For the left front? Okay, go ahead. 38? Okay. So the right rear tire brake didn't engage.
Brake did not engage. The police mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle, and they found the front passenger and the back passenger brake did not work. Now, Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Let's look at the EDR data. The computer inside Mustafa's vehicle showed that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. There we go. This is the EDR data. Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Mustafa's foot is not on the gas pedal. Mustafa's foot is only on the brake pedal. So, Mustafa's hitting the gas. Mustafa's hitting the brake. Mustafa is not hitting the gas. Mustafa's foot is only on the brake pedal. The police mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. Let's go back to the statement of facts. And now that we looked at the body cam where the police found brake failure, and the prosecutor knows that, the ACM inside the vehicle show that Mustafa's foot is only on the brake the whole entire time. Let's read that one more time. Let's read the statement of fact from Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, knowing that her police officer found brake failure, knowing that the ACM, the computer inside the vehicle, showed that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Let's read that one more time. Statement of facts, according to Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. On April 5th, 2023, the defendant Mustafa Nofel Al-Jazari murdered Dorothy Fontaine and Empress Fontaine. He drove a 2007 Chrysler 300 at the intersection of Route 234 and Fortuna Center Plaza in Prince William County, Virginia. Also, the vehicle where the defendant romantic partner Dorothy Ann Fontaine seated in the front passenger seat and Miss Fontaine's daughter, a juvenile, seated in the rear passenger seat. You know, your mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. Your officer pulled the ACM from Mustafa's vehicle and they found his foot is on the brake the whole entire time. You think that you can sit here and write a statement of fact because the case is sealed. You think this community is not going to find out because Julie Carey with NBC4 is not updating the community that the file has already been leaked and a police body cam show your mechanic, your police mechanic, found brake failure. So you think you're comfortable lying about Mustafa that this was intentional. How is it intentional? And why are you lying to us if your police mechanic found brake failure? If the ACM showed that his foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Let's go to what the officer on the scene is telling us. This is investigator Robert Drum in a body cam that's sealed by the county. Tell you that Mustafa made it all the way to the 4th lane. Let's watch Robert Drum reconstruct this for us.
You got to think. What you thinking, police?
Trying to find where they spun.
Seems like, yeah. That's a smart play. It's going. Dead end.
Because the damage is on the right, which caused them to flip that way. So.
And then it finally broke off with soup.
So that's her.
They're coming in sideways.
Yep.
Gets popped, rotates.
And she just rolls backwards.
So here's the question: which way did they? Because she comes straight, she hits.
She would have turned into it.
She would have had to turn into him. Mustafa clears all the way to the 4th lane in the SUV. The female driver, she would have had to turn into him. Mustafa clears all the way into the 4th lane, and the SUV turns into Mustafa. That's according to your police officer, the main investigator, Robert Drum. Forget the main investigator. Let's hear what the bystander is telling us. Not only do we have the main investigator tell us that the SUV that Mustafa cleared into the 4th lane and the SUV turned into Mustafa, we have a bystander that's telling us Mustafa cleared all the way into the 4th lane.
Can I get a phone number for you, sir?
Yeah, it's 571-389-4540.
I'll let you work on that. Can I talk to you for a quick second over here? Can you just tell me what you saw?
Yeah, so the Chrysler over there was coming this way.
Which way? Sorry.
Coming this direction. We were going this direction. We had the green light. This car was in front of me. And I saw the Chrysler just randomly. He wasn't even in the turn lane. He just darted over directly in front of this car.
Okay.
And so she slammed him. I guess
She slammed him. He made it all the way to the 4th lane. and she slammed into him. Let's listen to that one more time.
He made it far enough over that it hit the right side.
He made it far enough over, and she slammed into him.
Okay. And so she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side. So she slammed him. I guess he made it far enough over that it hit the right side.
He made it all the way into the fourth lane, and she turned into him. So you've got the main investigator. You've got a witness. Let's read Prosecutor Sarah Sammy's statement of fact one more time. So far, we have 4 items. We have a police body cam where it shows a police mechanic inspect Mustafa's vehicle and find brake failure. We have the ACM inside the vehicle that show that Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. We have the main investigator in a sealed body cam that's off limit to this community, that if it wasn't for this leak, we wouldn't know what he's actually telling us at the scene. Because remember, these body cams are not reflective in any of the police reports. He said that on the scene at the time, and the body cam is sealed. He said Mustafa cleared all the way into the fourth lane. And the question is, how is this guy being charged with murder? If he did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident, you're charging him with murder because you sealed off his case. You have a main investigator, you have a witness that said Mustafa cleared all the way into the fourth lane. But here you have Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck. Let's read that one more time. Now that we're looking at the details out of this case. See if this prosecutor is lying to us. The Commonwealth, let's see. Statement of facts. On April 5th, 2023, the defendant Mustafa Nofel Al-Jazari murdered Dorothy Fontaine. Really, murdered. But his foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Your police mechanic inspected the vehicle and found brake failure. Your officer says that he made it all the way to the fourth lane, avoiding a vehicle accident, and the SUV turned into him. A witness that body cam is sealed and is hidden from this community is telling us that Mustafa avoided a collision, made it all the way to the fourth lane. But here you want to tell us murdered Dorothy Fontaine, Empress. He drove a 2007 Chrysler 300 at the intersection on Route 234 and Fortuna Central Plaza, Prince William County, Virginia. Also, the vehicle where the defendant romantic partner, Dorothy Ann, seated in the front passenger, and Miss Fontaine, daughter, Empress, a juvenile, seated in the rear passenger side. If I didn't know any better, you don't care about the details coming out of this case because you think that your Commonwealth attorney is just going to seal it off for you. You're going to hide the details and just do whatever you want. Let's watch the dash camera. Let's go over it. Dash camera really quick. We have Mustafa here. He's passing a vehicle in front of him. He takes a lane. It's the wrong lane. He finds himself in the wrong lane, and there is nowhere to go. Now, there's a vehicle on your right that's blocking you from getting back into traffic. Here, Mustafa is slamming on the brake. The computer inside the vehicle, the ACM show, and we just watched that his foot is only on the brake. Not on the gas pedal. He's not hitting the gas. He's only hitting the brake, and he's slamming on the brake. The police mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. The vehicle would not stop. You can't get back into traffic. The vehicle wouldn't stop. You end up in oncoming traffic. There's a medium right in front of you. And if you notice, Mustafa did not turn into oncoming traffic. No, the vehicle ends up in oncoming traffic. There's a medium right in front of you. There is nowhere to go. You see that medium right there? That medium right there? So, there's a vehicle that's blocking you. There's a vehicle that's blocking you. There's a medium that's in front of you. And you end up in oncoming traffic. Now, what did Mustafa do? He avoided the first vehicle. You see that van on your left. He avoided that vehicle. He avoids this vehicle. You're going to see him avoid this vehicle, and that vehicle, the SUV. And according to the main investigator, Mustafa cleared the vehicle all the way to the 4th lane. According to the witness, the bystander, Mustafa cleared the vehicle all the way to the 4th lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa. The computer in the SUV's vehicle, the ACM, shows that she was speeding. She never hit the brake. And according to the main investigator, she turned into Mustafa into the 4th lane. Mustafa cleared her vehicle. That SUV right there, this SUV, according to the main investigator, Mustafa cleared that SUV into the 4th lane. That's the 1st lane, 2nd lane, 3rd lane, 4th lane. Mustafa cleared all the way into the 4th lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa. She turns into the 4th lane. That's not according to me. That's according to Robert Drum, the main investigator, on a sealed body cam. Now, Mustafa's steering angle shows counterclockwise. Mustafa is steering away from traffic. This is the steering angle. Steering input. Let's see what the steering wheel turned counterclockwise. Mustafa is steering away from the vehicle. So you have a police mechanic that inspect Mustafa's vehicle and find brake failure. You have Mustafa, the ACM, the computer inside Mustafa's vehicle showed that his foot is on the brake the whole entire time. According to the police mechanic, they found brake failure. According to the investigator, Mustafa cleared into the 4th lane. According to the witness, Mustafa clears into the 4th lane. But you got a prosecutor who wants to tell you statement of facts. She thinks that she can get away with lying about... You think this prosecutor doesn't... She has all these details. She can no longer lie in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case because the case is sealed. Everybody's watching the body cams. Everybody's watching the document out of Mustafa that's coming out of Mustafa's case. You can no longer tell us that the Commonwealth... Let's read this statement of fact one more time. On April 5th, 2023, the defendant, Mustafa Al-Jazari, murdered Dorothy Fontaine and Empress Fontaine. How? If he did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. At this point, you're just flat out lying to us. But I promise you, this case is going to move into trial. And I promise you, you're going to be held accountable for lying about Mustafa. You think you're comfortable because the case is sealed. It's not sealed anymore. The defendant approached the intersection in the left through lane where traffic were congested as he neared the intersection at Fortuna Certain Plaza. The defendant steered the vehicle into the left turn lane, which was unoccupied. The Chrysler then proceeded into the intersection against a red signal controlling vehicle in the left lane and entered oncoming traffic. I don't hear you telling us about the brake failure, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. I don't hear about you telling us that his foot was on the brake the whole entire time. Oh, wait a minute. I don't hear about you telling us that the main investigator said that he cleared all the way into the 4th lane. I don't hear you talk about the witness that says Mustafa made it all the way into the 4th lane. Let me ask you a better question. Where is the steering angle from the SUV? Why is that missing from this case? Prosecutor, On the last podcast, we covered a whole entire motion where you're bringing Chad Mason, you're bringing the ADR. Where is the steering angle from the SUV? I mean, this case could be figured out just like this. In a heartbeat, you can find out what's going on. But you're hiding the steering angle from the SUV, and that's going to come up in court. According to your investigator, Robert Drum, that the steering angle, the SUV turned into Mustafa. According to the witness, the bystander, the SUV turned into the fourth lane, into Mustafa. Mustafa cleared into the fourth lane, and the SUV turned into him. You think hiding the steering angle is going to help you? It's going to come up in court. Oh, that's right. That's why you're terrified from going to trial. Well, we're going to trial, and we're going to get to the bottom of what you're doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. The inward-facing camera shows the defendant turning the steering wheel to the left as the vehicle enters the left lane and veers toward oncoming traffic. No, he ends up in oncoming traffic. There's nowhere to go. The vehicle blocks him on the right. There's brake failure, and there's nowhere. You end up in oncoming traffic. I don't hear you talking about the brake failure. I mean, your police mechanic inspected the car. I mean, the same way I have the body cam, you have that body cam, but it's nowhere in your motion. Oh, you're hoping that no one is going to find out about it. Well, we have it, and we're all watching that body cam. The footage shows Miss Fontaine reacting in visible fear. Oh, there we go. She wants to use Dorothy, Mustafa's girlfriend's reaction, as if that is going to tell you whether Mustafa is crashing the vehicle on purpose or is not. What does that have to do with whether this is intentional or an accident? I mean, we just watched another dash camera. Where in the other dash camera, it shows that the lady, that's the passenger, is reacting more than the individual. I mean, really take a hard look at her reaction, as if that is any indication to whether this guy is intentionally crashing a car or is not intentionally crashing a car. Obviously, your passenger is going to have more of a reaction and panic than the person that's attempting to maneuver out of this accident. And this is a dash camera completely unrelated to Mustafa. Let's read that one more time. The footage show Miss Fontaine reacting in visible fear, reaching toward the defendant's arm and mouthing the word no repeatedly. How do you know that? It's a dash camera that has no audio. What are you, like, your lip reader? By the way, a month ago, there's a whole entire motion. The lip reader was kicked off the Mustafa Al-Jazari case because they were not reliable. The judge kicked off this lip reader. For 2 years, prosecutor Sarah Sammy says, I have a lip reader. All over NBC4, the prosecutor says, I have a lip reader. And my lip reader says this, my lip reader says that. Well, a month ago, they brought in this lip reader and they kicked him off the case because he's not reliable. As a matter of fact, he's not just not reliable, that his background is not in lip reading, that you cannot, by law, bring in a lip reader into this case. Wait a minute. We're looking at a dash camera, so you don't have a lip reader. There is no lip reader. You're telling us that this dash camera doesn't have audio. How do you know Dorothy said no? How do you know? And what if she did say no? I mean, you're about to get in a vehicle accident. What do you want her to say? Yes, I'm about to get in a vehicle accident. What do you want her to say? How do you know she said no? It has no audio. What are you, a lip reader? Who are you? Let's read that one more time. The footage show Miss Fontaine reacting in a visible fear. What do you want her to celebrate? Well, obviously, she's going to be in panic mode. She's going to be visibly in fear. Just like anybody that's going to be in a vehicle accident. Reach her toward the defendant's... Hold on now. Let's go back to the dash camera. This is interesting. Let's watch the dash camera. This is really interesting. Is Dorothy not holding on to Mustafa's arm? Are they not holding hands? I mean, really take a close look at Dorothy. The prosecutor wants to tell you that Dorothy was so scared from Mustafa that, I mean, if Dorothy was scared from Mustafa, she would have reached for the steering wheel. Not them holding arm. They're holding hands. Let's zoom in on this dash camera. Take a hard look at what Dorothy is doing right before the accident. Are they not holding hands? Are they not holding hands? Let's zoom in a little bit closer. Moments before the vehicle accident, Dorothy and Mustafa are holding hands. And this prosecutor wants to tell you what exactly? I mean, the dash camera is no longer sealed, so you can't just lie about what we're seeing here. Dorothy is holding hands with Mustafa moments before the vehicle accident. And then you rewind this dash camera. You see that clearly what the prosecutor is telling us is lying to us. She's telling us there's a heated argument inside the vehicle. Dorothy and Mustafa were sharing a cigarette. Literally, if you rewind it 20 seconds, you see that Mustafa and Dorothy were sharing a hemp cigarette. Let's read that one more time. The footage show Miss Fontaine reacting in visible fear. Yeah, they're about to get in a vehicle accident. Well, obviously, what do you want her to celebrate? Reaching toward the defendant's arm. Yeah, they're holding hands. They're holding hands. And mouthing the word no. Obviously, you don't know that. You're just BSing. You're just bullshitting us at this point. You're not a lip reader. I'm not a lip reader. There is no audio. So when you say mouthing the word no repeatedly, I mean, you're just bullshitting us. The recording shows the defendant immediately prior to impact steering calmly and appearing to disregard Miss Fontaine's reaction. Let's look at Mustafa's reaction. All right. So, in another word, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy is telling us that Mustafa did not have a reaction. This is the dash camera moments before impact. You see Mustafa's jaw is wide open. You see Mustafa sticks his tongue inside his cheeks. Mustafa is reacting to a vehicle accident. But this prosecutor wants to tell us that Mustafa is calm, is not reacting. What do you mean? His fucking jaw is wide open. Mustafa's jaw is wide open, reacting. His shoulder is tense. His jaw is wide open. And let's compare this to the other dash camera, just so we have a baseline. You're telling me if I were to look at this dash camera that's completely unrelated to Mustafa and see that this individual is focused on maneuvering out of the situation, that because his partner is in visible fear, obviously she's reacting to the situation, and he's reacting to the situation, trying to get out of the situation, that now you're going to say that he's intentionally crashing the vehicle? How does that make any sense? Let's go back to Mustafa's facial reaction. This is Mustafa. His jaw is wide open. His shoulder is tense. And his tongue is stuck inside his cheek. In panic. Mustafa's panicking. Mustafa, the computer inside the vehicle showed that he's hitting the brake. And the vehicle would not stop. The police mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. Let's go back and read the prosecutor telling us, lying to us about what we're seeing on dash camera. All right, now that we watched the dash camera, it says defendant immediately prior to impact, steering calmly. No, we saw his jaw wide open, his tongue is stuck inside his cheek, and he's panicking. His shoulder is all tense, steering calmly and appearing to disregard Ms. Fontaine's reaction. The collision with the Chevy Suburban caused extensive damage to the passenger side of the Chrysler. Ms. Fontaine succumbed to her injuries later that night, and Empress Fontaine died the following morning. So, we have a body cam where Robert Drum tells us exactly where the impact happened. Let's watch the body cam where Robert Drum tells us where did the impact happen. Where did the SUV impact Mustafa's vehicle? According to Robert Drum, Mustafa, the main investigator, Mustafa cleared into the fourth lane and the SUV turned into Mustafa. Question is, where did the SUV hit Mustafa? Well, Robert Drum tells us where the impact happened. Let's watch. This is Mustafa's vehicle at the police department.
So you almost see the perfect imprint from the Suburban.
You see the perfect imprint from the Suburban. What is Robert Drum, the main investigator, talking about? He's talking about this. This is the imprint. Let's make it in red. This is the imprint from the Suburban. So, the question is, for the sake of argument, let's pretend that there is no brake failure. Let's pretend that Robert Drum, we don't have a body cam that says Robert Drum, where Robert Drum says Mustafa cleared into the fourth lane. For the sake of argument, let's pretend that we don't have another body cam that shows a bystander tell us that Mustafa cleared into the fourth lane and the SUV turned into Mustafa. For the sake of argument, let's pretend we don't have any of that. The fact that Mustafa cleared half of his vehicle and the SUV, for the sake of argument, let's pretend and say that Mustafa didn't make it into the fourth lane, that the SUV hit Mustafa right here where Robert Drum just told us. Right there. That Mustafa didn't clear into the fourth lane. The SUV didn't turn into Mustafa. That the SUV hit Mustafa in the third lane. The fact that Mustafa cleared half his vehicle show you that Mustafa is trying to avoid a vehicle accident. It's trying to avoid a collision. The vehicle wasn't hit here, was hit here. In the back quarter panel of the vehicle. That means, for the sake of argument, even if I were to take the narrative coming out of the prosecutor, it shows that Mustafa tried to avoid the collision. So the question is, how are you charging him with murder? And then you throw in all the evidence that show the police mechanic inspected the vehicle and found brake failure. Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Mustafa was not hitting the gas. His foot is only on the brake. The main investigator tell you that Mustafa cleared into the 4th lane and the SUV turned into Mustafa and that the SUV hit Mustafa. Here, the perfect imprint, he tells you, it's right here. In the back quarter panel of the vehicle, Mustafa cleared the vehicle and the SUV turned into Mustafa. The witness says the same thing, that Mustafa cleared into the 4th lane. How is this murder? I mean, what they're doing here, they seal off the case. They seal off the case, and they hope that this community is not going to find out about the details. Mustafa sits in solitary, just going to keep him in solitary. I mean, they're avoiding trial. Now the case is leaked. Now we're finding out that this is a car accident. I mean, take a hard look at the vehicle. How did the vehicle, you think this is what happened? You think this vehicle, this is because of the damage? This vehicle is inside the police department. After the police department crushed and staged the vehicle, this is the vehicle at the scene after the accident. This is Mustafa's vehicle after the vehicle accident. The roof is still intact. I mean, take a hard look at this vehicle. The roof is still intact. And everybody's already out of the vehicle, so you can't tell me it's because of extraction. This is the vehicle inside the police department. The roof is still intact. The vehicle is still intact. How did the vehicle go from this to this? I mean, what the fuck happened here? And what you find out is that the police department crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle in a motion that we're going to be litigating. There is another motion we're going to be we're going to do a whole entire podcast where there's another motion that the prosecutor wants to take the jury to the vehicle and show them the extensive damage to the vehicle. You're going to show them the extensive damage to the vehicle after your police department crushed and staged Mustafa's vehicle? There's images of the vehicle after the accident, and there's images of the vehicle inside the police department, and it shows that the police department are staging the vehicle. We'll do a complete series of podcasts about what the police department are doing in Mustafa's vehicle. I mean, it is disturbing. We go back to the prosecutor motion. Let's read that one more time. All right. So that's the statement of facts. The defendant immediately prior to impact, steering calmly. That's a lie. We just watched the body cam where Mustafa, his jaw is wide open and his tongue is stuck inside his cheeks. And appearing to disregard, and she says, and appearing to disregard Ms. Fontaine's reaction. Okay, that's a lie. Mustafa is reacting to the vehicle accident according to the dash camera and according to the expert that entered this case, Dr. Ann Speckhard. The collision with the Chevy caused extensive damage to the passenger side of the Chrysler. Ms. Fontaine succumbed to her injuries later and night, and Empress died the following morning. We just saw the vehicle where the main investigator tell you the SUV hit Mustafa's vehicle on the quarter panel of Mustafa's vehicle. All right, the argument. All right, let's see what the argument coming out of the prosecutor, why she wants to remove Dr. Ann Speckhard. Let's read the argument and see why she wants to remove this expert. I want to remind everybody that's tuning in, if you have another device, log into YouTube, go to your YouTube and type "Nah, Another Boring Podcast." Follow us. We're live right now. We're playing a number of videos. It's a lot easier to follow us on YouTube because we're playing videos that you can see them on our YouTube channel. Not Another Boring Podcast. Don't forget to hit the like button. Don't forget to support our channel. You can support our channel directly through YouTube or through Cash App. Our Cash App is $NABPOD, or you can buy our shirt. We're selling shirts for $25. In whatever shipment, whatever cost of shipment, you can send us a message on our DM, send us your address, and we'll send you a shirt. We're in the process of building a website, so bear with us, and you can buy a shirt directly off the website. We're working on it. All right, so let's dive in and find out what the argument coming out of the prosecutor office and why they want to remove Dr. Ann Speckhard. All right, the Commonwealth moved to exclude the testimony of an defense mental health expert, including Dr. Ann Speckhard, pursuant to Virginia Code 19.2-271.6. The Commonwealth moved to exclude any expert witness testimony offered by the defendant regarding the defendant's mental condition, including the testimony of Dr. Ann Speckhard, pursuant to Virginia Code 19.2-271.6. The defendant has not provided the Commonwealth attorney with a written report setting forth the expert's opinion, qualifications, and contact information as required under the statute, Section 19.2-271.6, permits the introduction of expert testimony concerning a defendant mental state at the time of the alleged offense only if the proponent furnishes a written report to the opposing party no later than 60 days prior to trial. Failure to comply with the provision authorization the court to exclude the expert testimony or to grant continuance. Are you fucking kidding me? You're telling me that you want to exclude this expert who's going to give us insight into what we're watching on this dash camera because you don't have her contact? Because she didn't give you a heads up? Hey, I'm here. Well, we'll get that done for you. We'll get you her contact. We'll have this expert send you a letter that, hey, I'm here, and maybe shoot a flare in the air, tell you, hey, I'm here. What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking about? You want to remove a whole expert because you don't have her contact. Beautiful. Let's continue reading this. The Commonwealth files this motion to avoid any further continuance given the significant delay that have already occurred in this matter. Oh, you want to continue the case? How convenient. You don't want to go to trial. Oh, I bet you don't want to go to trial because you have officers that have been exposed into falsifying a whole entire cases all over the internet. Moreover, even if proper notice, even if we give you proper notice had been provided, the defendant has not proffered any diagnosis that meet the statutory criteria, Virginia Code 19.2-271.6, provides that evidence that defendant mental health condition at the time of the offense, including expert testimony, is admissible only if, one, it tends to show that the defendant lacked the intent required for the charged offense, and the underlying mental condition existed at the time of the offense and satisfies the diagnosis criteria for mental illness, development disability, or intellectual disability, or autism spectrum disorder. So you're telling me, by the way, you're not interpreting Virginia Code 19.2-271.6 correctly. And that's going to be a problem for you in court because you're going to have to litigate this in court. And just because you put it in a motion and you want to tell us that's what it means, that is not what it means. Virginia Code 19.2-271.6 doesn't mean that unless you have a mental problem, a mental illness, then you can bring in an expert. It doesn't say that. What Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to tell us, that you cannot bring in an expert unless you have mental illness. Well, Mustafa does not have a mental illness. Mustafa does not have a development disability or intellectual disability. Mustafa does not have autism spectrum disorder. Mustafa never had a mental illness. Mustafa is not on any medication for mental illness. Mustafa does not have any mental issue. And you want to tell us unless he has a mental illness, then we can bring in an expert? That is absolutely not true. And that's a huge problem for you because you're going to have to stand in court and litigate this. And you're bullshitting us in this motion. You're telling us that Virginia code. Absolutely not. That's not what it means. You can absolutely bring in an expert that has a background into looking at reaction and Mustafa's when she's looking at a dash camera, you can bring in an expert that looks at what is a normal response when you're reacting to a dangerous situation. Because we don't know. You don't know. I don't know. You need an expert for that. And in this case, we're looking at a dash camera, and we want to know if Mustafa's reaction is consistent with someone reacting to a vehicle accident. Let's pull up Mustafa's reaction really quick. We want to know if this reaction is consistent to someone that's avoiding a vehicle accident, a dangerous situation. In this case, this is a doctor with the background that can look at this, and she's telling us that this is consistent with someone reacting to a dangerous situation. His fucking jaw is wide open. His tongue is stuck inside his cheek. And his shoulder is fucking tense. He's reacting to a dangerous situation. You need an expert to tell you, is this consistent with a normal person reacting to a dangerous situation? Well, obviously, you need an expert. Because you're not going to walk Mustafa into and have the jury, hey, jury, let's look at a dash camera that has no audio, that's cut before impact, and let's look at his reaction that, by the way, my officer, Chad Mason, cut before impact. Now, I remind you, you're watching a dash camera that has no audio and is cut before impact and has 17 frames removed from Mustafa's reaction. This is a dash camera where when you watch it, you find out that the dash camera facing inside is cut while the camera facing outside is still rolling. You've taken 17 frames out of Mustafa's reaction, and we're litigating a dash camera where your police department removed 17 frames out of this dash camera. 17 frames out of Mustafa's reaction. As the defendant in the most recent edition of the Diagnostic and Statistical Mental of Health Disorder, subsection expressively state that the state does not permit the introduction of evidence of voluntary intoxication. Here, the defendant has provided no diagnosis meeting the requirement 19.2-271.6. Therefore, any testimony concerning the defendant mental condition is inadmissible under Virginia Supreme Court Rule 402, relevant evidence in the which has a tendency to make a fact in issue more or less probable than it would be without the evidence. Because the defendant has not demonstrated the extent of a qualifying mental condition, any proposed testimony regarding mental health has no relevance to any fact in issue and must be excluded. That absolutely makes no sense. You're misinterpreting that Virginia Code 19.2-271.6. You're misinterpreting that, and that's going to be a problem for you in court because you're sitting there misinterpreting it. And you don't need to to have a mental health issue to introduce an expert. Absolutely not. That doesn't make any sense. All right, item B, the Commonwealth moved to exclude Dr. Sparrow's opinion and mental health evidence regarding the defendant action and state of mind immediately prior to homicides. It is well established in Virginia that expert testimony is admissible only when the fact finder is confronted with issues that cannot be determined intelligently merely from the deduction made and inferences drawn on the basis of ordinary knowledge, common sense, and practical experience gained in the ordinary affair of life. Now, pay really good attention to what she's saying here. She's telling you that you don't need to bring in an expert if you can, as a layman person, be able to find out what is happening right in front of you. Well, the problem here for this prosecutor, we're watching a dash camera and we don't know what a normal reaction when you're faced with a dangerous situation. You don't. Do you freeze up? Do you react? How do you react? You need an expert. So let's read that one more time. It is well established in Virginia that expert testimony is admissible only where the fact finder is confronted with issues that cannot be determined intelligently merely from the deduction made and inferences drawn on the basis of ordinary knowledge, common sense, and practical experiences gained in the ordinary affair of life, and therefore requires scientific or specialized knowledge. Mitigate versus Commonwealth 69, Virginia. Citation omitted. However, an expert may not offer an opinion on the ultimate issue to be decided by the jury. Further, testimony founded upon assumption that have no basis in fact and not merely subject to refutation by cross-examining or by counter-expert. It is inadmissible. Lawrence versus Commonwealth. Pay close attention to what she just said. However, right here, an expert may not. Let's highlight that real quick. I mean, pay attention to what she wants to do right here. However, an expert may not offer an opinion on the ultimate issue to be decided by the jury. Are you telling me that you're going to be litigating this whole entire case based on Mustafa's reaction? Is that what you're gonna be? What you're gonna be basing whether Mustafa is guilty or not guilty? Because we just watched Mustafa's dash camera, and we just watched another dash camera, and to have a baseline when you're watching dash camera, people freeze up. You don't know what your reaction is gonna be. People freeze up. The person that's sitting next to you, they're more likely to have a reaction. More of a reaction than you would. You're in control of the vehicle. You want to get out of the situation, so you're more focused on that situation, and you freeze up. So you want to tell me you're going to take this dash camera to the jury, and you're going to tell them what exactly? Look at Mustafa's girlfriend. She's reacting, and Mustafa is focused on what? The vehicle, maneuvering out of the vehicle. Obviously, he's going to have less of a reaction than his girlfriend because he's focused on the vehicle. I mean, take a hard look at what she's talking about here. She doesn't want an expert that's going to tell the jury, hey, explain to the jury what a normal reaction when you're faced with a dangerous situation. I mean, we're looking at a dash camera where Mustafa's jaw is wide open. His tongue is stuck inside his cheeks. And he's clearly reacting to a vehicle accident. This is Mustafa. He's clearly reacting to a vehicle accident. His jaw is wide open. His tongue is stuck inside his cheek. His shoulder is tense. You need an expert that tell you, what are you looking at? The problem with this prosecutor, she wants to Take this dash camera to the jury and just, how is the jury going to know what is a normal reaction when you are faced with a dangerous situation? You don't. You don't. You need an expert to tell you, is this consistent with someone that's dealing with a dangerous situation? Obviously you do. Not everybody's not, no. You don't know and I don't know what a person react in a, I mean, we just watched another dash camera where the person is barely having a reaction. I mean, in Mustafa's case, his jaw is wide open. The other guy, he's barely reacting. I mean, when you look at this dash camera, you see the partner is, reacting, and he's barely reacting. I mean, can you imagine if Prosecutor Sarah Sammy was litigating this dash camera? I mean, that's what she wants to do. She wants to tell the jury, look at her reaction and look at his reaction. And let's not have an expert that's going to tell you, in a dangerous situation, people freeze up. People are focused on what they're doing. They're trying to come out from a dangerous situation. The other person is focused on panicking. They don't have to maneuver the vehicle out of that situation. Obviously, they're going to have more of a reaction. Let's read that one more time. Item B, it is well established in Virginia that expert testimony is admissible only where the fact finder is confronted with issue that cannot be determined intelligently merely from the deduction made and inferences drawn on the basis of ordinary knowledge. Absolutely. Absolutely. In this case, you need an expert because we don't know what a person react to a dangerous situation. We don't. You need an expert to tell you what is a normal body language, facial expression, what is a normal reaction. You need an expert. Common sense and practical experience gained in the ordinary affair of life, and therefore require scientific and specialized knowledge. Mitigate versus Commonwealth. However, an expert may not offer an opinion on the ultimate issue to be decided by the jury. Further, expert testimony founded upon assumption that have no basis in fact is not merely subject to refutation by cross-examining or by counter expertise by experts is inadmissible. Lawrence versus Commonwealth. Here, the defendant seeks to offer expert testimony through Dr. Speckhard concerning the defendant action, reaction, and intentions in the moments leading up to and during the murder, including why the defendant drove into oncoming traffic, the meaning of the defendant's facial expression immediately prior to impact, why the defendant did not brake. What do you mean he didn't brake? We just saw the computer inside his vehicle. It shows that his foot is on the brake the whole entire time. The cause of the defendant claimed lack of memory after the crash. If you want the jury to tell you why he can't remember what happened after the accident, obviously you need an expert. Their opinion directly addressed the defendant's intent, the central issue in this case, and therefore are inadmissible. They are also speculative and are not grounded in any specialized knowledge relevant to the fact. Additionally, Dr. Speckhard, professional expertise concerning violent extremism and terrorism, not motor vehicle operation, cognitive response in collision, or accident reconstruction. Why don't you just say that this expert is not a mechanic? This expert is not, I don't know, an accident reconstructionist. This expert, her background tells you, she tells you what her expertise in her affidavit, item 11. As a result of my education and experience, my review of literature, I have working knowledge and expertise in how individuals physically and emotionally respond to traumatic situation and dangerous circumstances, including how individuals respond in split-second decision-making situation and after traumatic events. You don't need to be a mechanic. You don't need to be an accident reconstructionist. According to the prosecutor, she wants this expert to be a mechanic, a accident reconstruction. She's telling you, this expert in my background is, I have working knowledge and expertise in how individuals physically and emotionally respond to traumatic situation and dangerous circumstances. This expert is here to tell you how a person would react to a dangerous situation. That's her background. That's her background. She's telling you, this is a car accident. Mustafa is reacting to a dangerous situation, and this is what my background is in. You're going to have to stand in court, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, Prosecutor Stephanie Buck, and litigate this. They're going to bring in Dr. Speckhard with her extensive background, and she has a giant background in telling you what a normal reaction is in a dangerous situation. That's her background. That's why she's here. I mean, you're going to cross-examine her. You're going to put her on the stand, and she's going to tell you, I am here, and I'm qualified to do this job. I don't have to be a mechanic. I don't have to be a reconstructionist. My job, my background is in telling you, is this person reaction consistent with someone avoiding a dangerous situation? Here she's telling you, yes. The jury doesn't know that. The jury doesn't know how to read body language. The jury doesn't know how to read expression and reaction in a dangerous situation. They don't. You don't. I don't. You don't know how a normal person would react. You think you know, but in a situation, it's a whole different ball game. You don't know how you'll react. And you need an expert to tell you, what are we watching on this dash camera? All right. So Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck continue in her motion. And she says, first, no expert is required to explain how a person operates and maneuvers a vehicle. Jurors are fully capable of evaluating driving maneuver based on ordinary experience and common sense. Absolutely. No one needs to tell the jury how a person drives a car. Absolutely. I agree with you. Okay. But the jury, you and I don't know what a normal reaction is when you're faced with a dangerous situation. That you need an expert for. All right. Any testimony from Dr. Speckhard regarding why or how the defendant steered his vehicle is speculative, irrelevant, and outside the scope of her qualification. Well, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, it's not speculative when we have a body cam where your police mechanic inspected Mustafa's vehicle and found brake failure. It's not speculation when we look at the ACM and we found Mustafa's foot is on the brake the whole entire time trying to stop the vehicle. It's not speculation when your investigator is telling us that Mustafa cleared into the fourth lane and the SUV turned into Mustafa. What does that mean, prosecutor? Mustafa is avoiding a vehicle accident. Second, attempting to infer the defendant's mental state from his facial expression invades the province of the jury. Really? So if you tell us what we're watching in this dash camera is going to invade the province of the jury, the jury can observe the video footage and draw its own conclusion. Testimony interpreting facial expression as proof of intent or lack thereof is precisely the type of opinion on the ultimate issue that is prohibited. Let's read that one more time. Second, attempting to infer the defendant's mental state from the facial expression invade the province of the jury. The jury can observe the footage, the video footage, and draw its own conclusion. Testimony interpreting facial expression as proof of intent or lack thereof is precisely the type of opinion on the ultimate issue that is prohibited. Third, any testimony regarding why the defendant failed to break likewise goes directly to intent. The jury does not need expert assistance to determine the significance of the defendant's failure to engage in brake when facing a head-on collision. Moreover, Dr. Speckhard has no expertise in driver response, motor control, or accident dynamic. But she has experience. But Dr. Speckhard is telling you she has experience in telling you what a normal response is in a dangerous situation. A dangerous situation is a dangerous situation, whether you're in a vehicle, whether you're in a motorcycle, whether you're on a boat, whether you're in a rocket ship. You don't need an expert to fly a rocket ship to the fucking moon to tell you when this rocket was exploding, did that person react to the rocket exploding? You don't need the expert to tell you and have experience in flying rockets. The expert is there to tell you what is a normal reaction to a dangerous situation. But here, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants Dr. Speckhard to be flying rockets. The fuck are we talking about here? Do you have experience in flying rockets, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy? I mean, you're sitting here telling us Mustafa's guilty. You're telling us that the jury is going to decide on their own, watching his facial expression. I mean, I bet the jury doesn't have experience in flying rockets to the fucking moon. I don't know if you do, but they don't. So you're telling us that they have to for them to know whether Mustafa is good. What the fuck are you talking about? Fourth, the defendant alleged post-incident memory lapses are irrelevant to the charged offense. Whether the defendant remember the crash has no bearing on whether he acted with the requisite intent at the time of the homicide. You know, I'll tell you, but finding your mechanic on a police body cam when he inspected Mustafa's vehicle and finding brake failure tell you that, hey, the guy didn't have brakes. Reading the ACM in Mustafa's vehicle tell you that Mustafa is doing everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. His foot is on the brake the whole entire time. Oh, he doesn't remember, so that means it doesn't mean that it was intentional or not. But your mechanic on a body cam inspect Mustafa's vehicle and finding brake failure tell you, how could you charge him with murder? If his foot is on a brake, if there's brake failure, the vehicle doesn't stop. He makes it to the fourth lane, according to your investigator. That Mustafa cleared all the vehicle, made it to the fourth lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa into the fourth lane. Oh, the witness says the same exact thing. That Mustafa cleared all the vehicle, made it into the fourth lane, and the SUV turned into Mustafa. Because these proposed opinion and mental health evidence go directly to the ultimate issue of intent, are speculative, and are outside the scope of expertise qualification, they should be excluded in their entirety. We're waiting for Mustafa's lawyer to write a motion in response to Prosecutor Sarah Sammy and Prosecutor Stephanie Buck. So this is the motion coming out of the prosecutor to exclude Dr. Speckhard and Speckhard. Now, before we end the podcast, what we're going to do, the previous attorney, Blake Weiner, put in a response, a brief response to this motion. What I'm going to read, I'm not going to read the whole thing. What I'm going to do, I'm going to read, because for the most part, we pretty much covered it when I was replying to Prosecutor Sarah Sammy's motion. But I do want to go over to page 8. All right, so if you go on our TikTok channel, Beyond the Metal Bars, you'll find this motion by the previous attorney, Blake Weiner. Let's see. There we go. You go over to, so it's titled Defendant Mustafa Al-Jazari Motion to Provide Expert Funds. You go over to page 8. Item 3 is interesting. The defense, in his response, writes, the object matter is beyond the knowledge and experience ordinary person, such that the jury needs expert opinion in order to comprehend the subject matter, form an intelligent opinion, and draw its conclusion. Indeed, one of the most crucial reasons why Dr. Speckhard's testimony is required is precisely because what the Commonwealth and a lay juror thinks is common knowledge regarding action and reaction in the context of a traumatic event is actually scientifically misunderstood, as demonstrated by the Commonwealth proffer in pretrial motion and hearing. He's telling you what you think is a normal response is not when you're faced in dealing with a traumatic event. It's not the same thing. And you need an expert to tell you what is a normal response, what is not a normal response. And you can't use a lay person, the jury, just to, on their own, decide. Otherwise, Mustafa is not going to have a fair trial. We're looking at a dash camera that has no audio, that is cut before impact. And we're looking at Mustafa's reaction. They want the jury, the prosecutor wants the jury to go off of emotions. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants the jury to tell you Mustafa is guilty or not guilty based on emotion. I mean, when you're looking at this dash camera, it's a very emotional dash camera. I mean, you're talking about moments before the vehicle accident. You're talking about a mother. You're talking about a 5-year-old baby in a vehicle. And you want to show the jury, and you want to tell the jury, you want the prosecutor Sarah Sammy and prosecutor Stephanie Buck wants to stand up in court and tell the jury a mother and a baby died. Look at the mother's reaction compared to his reaction. You want to say that he's not guilty? Well, look at the mother's reaction. That's not how it works. That's not how it works. This is a vehicle accident. Obviously, the passenger is going to have more of a reaction because the driver is focused on maneuvering out of the accident. The prosecutor wants to try this case over emotions. She doesn't need an expert. She's terrified that an expert is going to come in and has looked at Mustafa's reaction and says Mustafa's reaction is consistent with someone reacting to a vehicle accident, trying to avoid a vehicle accident. She wants the jury to decide on their own and throw in emotion that a mother and a baby died. Look at the mother reaction. Well, you need an expert. You need an expert to tell you that his reaction is normal. His jaw is wide open. His jaw is wide open. Let's go back to Mustafa's reaction. Mustafa's reaction, his jaw is wide open, his tongue is stuck inside his cheek, his shoulder is tense. But prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to tell you, look at the passenger, look at his girlfriend. His girlfriend is screaming, is reacting. Well, obviously, she's the passenger. He's focused. He's trying to avoid a collision. You see his jaw is wide open. She wants to tell you, don't look at his jaw wide open. Don't look at his tongue stuck inside his cheek. Look at his girlfriend. That's not how it works. That is not how it works. You need an expert. So this case is not tried over emotions. It's a sad case. Mustafa lost his family in a vehicle accident. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to tell you a mother and a baby died. Don't look at the details in this case. Don't look at that his foot was on the brake the whole entire time. Don't look at the mechanic that inspected the vehicle and found brake failure. Don't look at my investigator on body cam tell you that Mustafa cleared every vehicle and made it all the way to the 4th lane, avoiding a vehicle accident. But the SUV turned into Mustafa. That the witness on body cam tell you that Mustafa cleared every vehicle, made it to the 4th lane, and the SUV, who was not hitting the brake, who was speeding, who was under the fucking influence. The lady was on medication that she wasn't supposed to be on and was speeding. Never hit the brake, turned into Mustafa. Prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to tell you, don't worry about all these details. Don't worry that he did everything he can to avoid a vehicle accident. Look at the mother, look at the baby. That's not how it works, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy. And I'll tell you, you're terrified to go to court because these details are no longer sealed. It's all over the internet. They've entered Mustafa's case. You've had Mustafa in solitary for over 3 years. You have a Commonwealth attorney that sealed off the case to protect you using officers that have falsified a whole entire case. The Mustafa Al-Jazari case, you have officers that falsified his statements. You have officers that crushed and staged his vehicle. You have officers that cut and muted his dash camera. You have officers that weaponized children, that Mustafa is a father figure in their life. Details are coming out of this case and they're disturbing. Now, we're ready for trial and it's coming up in March. The prosecutor is terrified to go to court. She's already said that in court. But we're going to trial and it's coming up. And I'll tell you, they better be ready for trial because they're going to jail. A prosecutor that used officer to falsify a case that was comfortable because it was sealed. Well, it's not sealed anymore. And I want to tell the community that is following us, the best is yet to come. Mustafa is coming home and these officers are going to be held accountable. We've lined up with an agency that is taking the body cams, taking the transcript, and is going to be turning this whole entire case into a movie. I mean, it's one thing to read transcripts. It's one thing to watch body cam. It's one thing to watch a podcast. It's another thing for the county when you're watching a movie of what they're doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. It's really going to drive the point home. It's going to tell you exactly. So we're putting this whole entire platform in second gear. And the best is yet to come. And I hope the county is ready for Chad Mason, Prosecutor Sarah Sammy, and all these characters getting animated. We're monetized on YouTube. The community is donating into what we're doing. And I have nothing better to do than sit here and expose what the county is doing in the Mustafa Al-Jazari case. And we just hit a whole new plateau. The whole case is going to get animated. You want to see Sarah Sammy and what Sarah Sammy is doing? Well, tune in. You want to see what Chad Mason is doing in Mustafa's case? Tune in. we're tiptoeing around going viral. And God help this county if this case goes viral. Because they can only do what they're doing because they're doing it behind closed doors. They think Julie Carey with NBC4 is in their back pocket, that she's not reporting on the case, that the major outlets, well, we're going to go viral on our platform. And specifically, the fact that this story is getting animated. The best is yet to come. I want to thank everybody for being here. Tune in, hit the like button, share the YouTube channel on your Facebook. You can support us directly on the YouTube channel, or you can cash up us on and support the channel that way on our Cash App. It's NABPOD, and what you'll see in the bottom right corner after this podcast, I'm going to have it on a loop, so you get to see it tomorrow and the day after until we decide to do our second podcast. On our second podcast, the podcast that's coming up, there is another motion that prosecutor Sarah Sammy already filed, and this motion is disturbing. We're going to cover that motion where prosecutor Sarah Sammy wants to sequester the jury, and I find it interesting how she wants to do it, why she wants to do it, and what she's saying about me in it. Can you imagine? I mean, I cannot wait. You know, I'll tell you, there are things that I'm doing that I'm going to make sure that prosecutor Sarah Sammy is held accountable by law. I mean, to put in a motion, I've got a reputation out in this community. I've got a podcast. And when Sarah Sammy puts in a motion and she says that I went and stalked her, that I went after her to her vehicle and I'm stalking her. In her motion, she said Amar Al-Jazari went out to her vehicle, stalked her. Hold on now. Now you're engaged in defaming me in this community. You're telling this community, you're telling everybody that is tuning into my podcast that I'm that kind of person that goes after a prosecutor, stalks her, and goes after her vehicle. Do you think that I'm not going to hold you accountable by law? You're going to have to litigate this in court. You're going to have to show the evidence. You're alleging that I went up to your vehicle, that I stalked you. You better have fucking evidence. I promise you, I'm going to hold you accountable by law. Real question is, why am I not in handcuffs? I mean, I'm sitting in court. I'm attending every proceeding. Where's the police report? Why am I not in handcuffs? I mean, you're fucking alleging that Amar Al-Jazari, that I stalked you, went up to your vehicle, but yet there's no police reports. I'm sitting here without handcuffs. I promise you, prosecutor Sarah Sammy, the best is yet to come, and you will be held accountable by law. The best is yet to come. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police. Let's pull up the...
If any of that is...
This is not another boring podcast. I want to thank everybody for being here. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, defense attorney. You know, Brad Haywood sits there. He said, why am I still in this case? I thought I left. Well, you're the center of this podcast. You're the main character in this podcast. And I cannot wait to have the agency animate you into what you've done in this case. The best is yet to come. This is not another boring podcast. Mustafa through the police body cam. Judge Carol Weimer, defense attorney Brad Haywood. You are under the microscope.
Good night, Amar.
We're going to have problems.
I'm still here.
Those need to be destroyed.
You know, I tuned everybody out. I think after a while, I'll just tune everybody out. Casey, I love you. I love everybody. And I'll talk to you guys later.
Alrighty.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that, okay? If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed, that is going to put me in a situation where I will have to withdraw from the case.
Okay.
If you disclose that information in any way, all of it needs to be destroyed now. But if you disclose it in any way, it's going to put me in a position where I will have to withdraw from the case. If you all choose to go on the internet and try to publicize this stuff, that's going to create real problems.
Okay.
You can't do it, is what I'm telling you. You cannot do it. I will have to move to withdraw from the case.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right.
So make sure everybody's aware of that, okay? If any of that is posted anywhere on the internet, we're going to have problems. Whatever copies have been made of that, those need to be destroyed.
Okay.
Okay? If they get disclosed,